The complete Claude AI Masterclass. Chat, co-work, code, Chrome, and automations. We are going to talk about everything. Starting with section 1, that is foundations and ecosystem. Welcome. And let's see what you will master in this course. So here is something I want you to think about. So you probably have Claude. Maybe you have had conversations with it, asked it questions, gotten answers, maybe even used it for some writing or brainstorming. And it has been fine. Useful even. But here is the thing nobody talks about. You are probably using about 5% of what Claude can actually do. Meanwhile, other people are automating entire workflows. They are having Claude research topics, organize files, build tools, fill out forms, run tasks on a schedule. All happening without them sitting there clicking buttons. They are saving 10, 15, 20 hours a week. And the frustrating part, it's not because they are smarter or tech savvier. They just know about tools you haven't discovered yet. And that changes right now. This is built to close that gap, and fast. So, welcome again. I am Sawan Kumar and I have been building with Claude since day one. I've used it across every product, every capability, every edge case you can think of. And I want to teach you how to do the same. So here is what this course actually is. A complete tour of the entire Claude ecosystem. Not just how to chat better. We are talking chat. The Claude ecosystem. So most people think Claude is a chatbot. And that's like saying your smartphone is a calculator. Well, technically true, wildly incomplete. Anthropic built a core AI engine, Claude, and then wrapped it in 5 different interfaces designed for 5 different kinds of work. Chat for thinking, co-work for executing, and code for building. Chrome for web automation, Office add-ins for spreadsheets and slides. Now, the people getting the most value are not using Claude as a chatbot. They are using Claude as an entire operating system for intelligent work. By the end of this lecture, you will understand, or you will have a crystal clear mental model. Every Claude product, when to use each one, why you would choose one over another. Now this is the foundation for everything else in this course. If you don't know what tool to reach for, you will use the wrong one, either leaving capability on the table or wasting time forcing the wrong tool. Let's start. The 5 modes. Claude Chat, your thinking partner. Now the Claude most people know. Web, iOS, Android, desktop app. You ask a question, you get a thoughtful answer. Brainstorming, problem solving, writing help. Now it's conversational and synchronous. You are going back and forth. That's Claude Chat for you. Claude Co-work, your digital employee. Launched in January 2026, a tab inside Claude Desktop. You describe an outcome and Claude works autonomously to deliver it. Tell Co-work, research competitor pricing, organize it into a spreadsheet, save it to my Google Drive. Then step away. Come back later. The work is done. Co-work runs in a sandboxed Linux environment on your machine. It can access your local files with your permission, create documents, schedule recurring tasks, and even control your mouse and keyboard on Mac with Apple Silicon. Claude Code, that is your coding partner, lives in Claude Desktop like Co-work. VS Code, JetBrains IDE, purpose-built for building, debugging, testing, and deploying code. In March 2026, Claude added Auto Mode. It plans, executes, and tests code without you micromanaging each step. And you don't have to be a developer to use it. Build a Python script that processes our CSV data is a perfectly valid code task. Next is Claude in Chrome, your browser assistant. Browser extension, beta, available in all the paid plans. It reads the page you are on, clicks buttons, fills forms, navigates between tabs, and it's not about searching the web. It is about automating the web. The last one is Claude in Excel and PowerPoint, your Office upgrade. Microsoft Office add-in. Ask Claude questions about your spreadsheet, generate formulas, create presentations, all while staying inside Office. So here is the simple mental model. Need an answer? Chat. Thinking, advice, brainstorming. Need work done? Co-work. Files, documents, research, complex tasks. Need something built? Code, scripts, tools, apps, automation. Need browser tasks? Chrome, forms, web data, navigation. Need office work? Excel, PowerPoint, add-ins. And these are not so siloed. A single workflow can touch multiple tools. Use Chrome to collect competitor pricing, pass it to CoWork to organize into a spreadsheet, upload to Excel for analysis, and export to PowerPoint slides. One workflow, 5 tools, seamless. But how do they work together? Well, CoWork is the orchestrator. It can trigger Chrome workflows mid-task, execute code snippets via dispatch, and use connectors, Google Drive, Slack, Jira, Notion, Gmail, HubSpot, and 38 plus integrations to pull from or push to your entire tool stack. You set up a CoWork task. Every Monday, fetch customer feedback from Slack, analyze trends, create a summary, and email it to the team. Now that one task coordinates 4 different systems, hands off. And chat sits underneath everything as your thinking partner. Stuck on something? Jump to chat, think it through, and jump back. But after all of this, what makes Claude different? Well, I want to be honest and not salesy. ChatGPT is a great chatbot, but has no local file access or desktop agent. Copilot is logged into Microsoft. Gemini has strong Google integration, but isn't agentic yet. Claude Edge, agentic from the ground up. It plans multi-step workflows, executes them autonomously, integrates with your local files, browser, connected tools, and code. CoWork is not bolted into chat. It is a first-class citizen, and that is the difference. It is designed for work and not just conversation. So, if I were to conclude this, Claude is 5 tools and not 1. Chat, CoWork, Code, Chrome, and Office add-ins. Use the right tool for the right job. Answer, chat, work, CoWork, build, code, and browser is Chrome. They work together as one system. CoWork orchestrates, 38 plus connectors, and skill works across the products. The architecture is agentic. Claude plans, executes, and delivers autonomously. I have a few resources that you can go back and refer to, and then here we come to an end. You have got the mental model. Next, you are going under the hood. Models, context, windows, and the agentic architecture. Understanding this makes you 10x better at using Claude. How Claude actually works, the models, the context, and the agentic architecture. So Claude can read the equivalent of 2,800 pages of text in a single conversation. The entire Harry Potter series, all 7 books at once in working memory. Most AI tools max out at a few hundred pages. Claude works with a 1 million token context window. And that's not just bigger. It is a different category of tool. Understanding how Claude works under the hood makes you 10x better at using it. So let's pull back the curtain. You need a clear mental model of 3 things. Which Claude model to use and why. How context windows work and how CoWork actually executes tasks. Now once you understand these, you will instinctively know how to frame problems and pick the right tool. So Claude isn't one AI. It is a team of 3 models. Opus 4.6, the senior expert. 1 million token context. 128K max output. Best in class reasoning. $15 per million input tokens. Used for strategic planning, deep code review, analyzing 50-page documents, complex multi-step tasks. Sonnet 4.6, the reliable workhorse. 1 million context, 64K max output, 95% of Opus capability at 20% of the cost. And this is where you should start for 80% of your work. Research, content creation, code generation, analysis, summarization. Haiku 4.5, the speed specialists. 200K context, 4 to 5x faster than Sonnet. 80 cents per million tokens. Used for quick classifications, formatting, simple summaries, rapid fire answers, and repetitive tasks. The key insight here would be, smart users choose their model. Default to Sonnet, upgrade to Opus when you need depth, use Haiku for routine speed. Think of it as Opus is the cardiologist. Sonnet is your excellent GP. Haiku is a nurse handling routine checkups instantly. So, your context window is Claude's working memory. How much it can hold in mind at once. 1 million tokens is equal to 700,000 words. It's equal to 2,800 pages. Now that's your entire company's knowledge base or 6 months of meeting notes in one conversation. Why this matters? Because you could paste your company handbook, 6 months of transcripts, your product roadmap, customer feedback, and a strategy document all into one conversation. Claude synthesizes all of it, draws connections, spots patterns you would miss. So for comparison, GPT-4 maxes at 128K tokens, that is 400 pages. Claude's window is nearly 10x larger. Now this fundamentally changes what is possible. Now let's talk about the agentic architecture. And this is where Claude stops being a chat tool and becomes genuinely different. Thinking versus acting. ChatGPT thinks, analyzes, writes, but can't do anything on your machine. Claude thinks and acts, and that is the co-work difference. The sandbox. Now co-work runs in an isolated Linux virtual machine on your local computer, not the cloud, not Anthropic servers. Your files stay local, never uploaded anywhere. Claude's tools. Now Claude interacts through a specific toolset. Bash to run commands, read, write, edit to file operations, glob and grep to search, web search and web fetch for internet. Now these are the only way Claude touches your system. Sandboxed, permission-based, auditable. Then you have sub-agents. Big tasks get broken into parallel workers. Claude plans their steps, identifies what can run simultaneously, and spins up sub-agents. And that's why complex tasks finish fast. And then they have a safety flow. You describe a task, Claude plans, Claude asks permission for sensitive actions, Claude executes, Claude report results, and you are always in control. So if I have to conclude, these are the key takeaways. 3 models: Opus for deep reasoning, Sonnet for 80% of the work, and Haiku for speed. Default to Sonnet. 1 million context is equal to 2800 pages of working memory. Feed Claude entire code bases or datasets at once. Co-work runs locally in a sandboxed VM. Files never leave your computer. They are permission based. Claude asks before sensitive actions. You're always in control, and the sub-agents enable parallel execution so that the big tasks run faster. And here are some resources which I would put up in the resources section for you to see. So now you understand how Claude works under the hood. Next, we'll install Claude Desktop, set up your account, activate every mode in 5 minutes flat. Let's go. Okay, set up in 5 minutes, install, subscribe, and activate. Enough of theory. Let's get this thing on your computer. I'm serious, about 5 minutes, and this is one of the easiest setups I have ever done. Download, install, sign in, and done. By the end of this session, you will have Claude Desktop installed, a paid plan activated, the Chrome extension running, and a global keyboard shortcut configured. Walk through with me. So you go to claude.ai/download, and the page would look something like this: claude.ai/download. Depending on your system, it would automatically suggest you whether you are going to be downloading it for Mac or for your PC. But you have other options over here as well, and you have options for mobile too. So for Mac, you open the DMG, drag Claude to applications, and done. For Windows, you run the .exe, click yes for permissions, and click next through the wizard, and you are done. System requirements, well, for Mac, it's Mac OS 11 Plus or Windows 10 Plus with a stable internet, obviously. Now, next is you open the Claude Desktop that you just downloaded, sign in with your Anthropic account or Google. Now, the plan question, you need a paid plan to unlock Co-work, Code, and Chrome. Pro is for $20 a month, the sweet spot, all models, Co-work, Code, Chrome, connectors, everything. And this is the plan for 90% of the people. Max is $100 to $200 a month, only if you hit Pro limits consistently. Start with Pro and keep looking at how frequently you are hitting the limits, and upgrade if you really need to. Next is activating Co-work and Chrome. So to activate Co-work, look at the top of Claude Desktop. There are 2 tabs, Chat and Co-work. Click on Co-work and you will notice the prompt box changes to describe your tasks, and you're now in the Co-work mode. Let me open my Claude if I can show something to you. Here it is, something is already running anyway. So this is Claude Co-work. This is a new task. So let's knock something off your list. That is how your Co-work page would look like. Chrome extension, similarly, you open Chrome browser. Let me open Chrome browser. So this is an incognito window of a Chrome browser. I look for extensions. So let's say I say Claude by Anthropic, extension Google, and here I get in the Chrome Web Store, I get the Anthropic extension, and I would have the option to add it to Claude or remove from Claude if you already have it. So if you do not have it yet, you will get the option to add it, and you just install it over here and log in once again using your Gmail or your user ID and password. Now, Chrome extension works with Chrome and Edge only, not Brave, not Arc, not Safari, not Firefox. So what you have to do now is pause this video, install Claude Desktop, sign in, pick Pro, click Cowork, install the Chrome extension, set your shortcut, 5 minutes, and go. Now, what are these shortcuts? Let me have a look at it. Global shortcut is settings, preferences, keyboard shortcut set. Command plus shift plus space is for Mac, or control plus shift plus space is for Windows. Now you can summon Claude from anywhere, Word, Gmail, VS Code, without switching windows. For me, it works something like this. Do you see this window? I can summon Claude from anywhere. Now, if the Cowork tab is missing, you update the app and confirm you are on a paid plan. If the Chrome extension is not working, make sure you are on Chrome or Edge and signed in with the same account. If app is crashing, free up the disk space and update your OS. There's nothing more, I believe. So, and we are done. I mean, if you have paused the video and done the installs, activated your account, paid for the premium one, and installed Google Chrome extension, you're pretty much ready to get started. To conclude, here are the key takeaways. You download from claude.ai/download. You upgrade to a Pro account. You click on the Cowork tab to activate Cowork mode. Install Claude in Chrome and set a global keyboard shortcut to summon Claude from anywhere. Then you have some resources which you will find in the resources section, and you are installed and ready. Next, your first actual task, side by side in Chat, Cowork, and Chrome. No more setup. Let's build something. Your first 3 tasks, Chat, Cowork, and Chrome, side by side. So theory is now done. We are doing 3 actual tasks right now. 1 in Chat, 1 in Cowork, and 1 in Chrome. And by the end, you'll understand in your bones why these are 3 fundamentally different tools. And I'm not just going to tell you the difference. We are going to feel it. 3 tasks, same AI, 3 completely different modes. And by the end, you will see why picking the right mode for the right job is everything. Let's prove it. Task 1, Chat, get a strategic answer. So I will open Claude for this and go to the chat. Okay, and I'm asking Claude a business question. What are the top 3 strategies for reducing customer churn in a SaaS business? Give me specific actionable tactics with example. So I'll give this prompt to Claude, and I can select whether I want to go with Sonnet, Opus, or Haiku. So let's stay with Sonnet. Click on enter. So Claude will give us a thoughtful, structured answer. Let's see. So top 3 strategies to reduce SaaS churn. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. 3 strategies with context and examples. You could use this in a meeting or a document. But notice, you got text in a chat window. To use it elsewhere, you would still copy, reformat, edit, and share manually. So the takeaway here is, chat is for thinking together. Brainstorming, advice, iterative discussion. The output lives in a chat window. Task 2, Cowork. Get a real deliverable. Same question, but with a different approach. So I have a messy folder. Photos, documents, spreadsheets, PDFs, chaos. And I want Claude to organize it and create a summary document. In Chat, I would get advice on how to organize. In Cowork, I'll tell Claude to do it. Let's find it out. I go to Cowork this time, and I say organize the files in my selected folder into logical subfolders based on file type and content. Create a professional summary document listing what is in each folder. So let's give this a try. I copy this prompt. So organize the files in my selected folder into logical subfolders based on file type and content. Create a professional summary document listing what is in each folder. So I go here, I select a different folder, and I select download because my download folder is really messed up. Okay, so I do this, I click on always allow, and I say so I would say stay with Sonnet. I don't think I need 4.6 opus for this. Now it is working on this. If you see on the right side, there is a progress taskbar. The context, everything would keep getting updated. It is listing the files, list first 200 files, and then now this is a substantial folder with 1387 files. Let me get a full picture of all the file types before we proceed. List files with no extensions, so you can have a look at the thinking. Counting files, listing subdirectories, list remaining subdirectories, listing files with no extension. Now I have a good picture. Do you want me to move all files or just the loose files at the root level? What kind of organization scheme do they prefer? Given the content, I can see now it will ask me a few questions. Let's say loose files only, both type with topic. So let's say by content and topic. Okay, so let me catalog all the loose files at the root level so I can sort them intelligently. So let us keep it going on. Now, this would be an aha moment for me because Claude Cowork is now organizing my entire downloads folder without me having to do anything in there. And this is the aha moment. Cowork isn't chat with more features. You're hiring Claude to work, to take actions, change things, create things that didn't exist before. And you can step away while it works. Like we are right now stepped out of Cowork and it is still doing or taking the action. Do you see here? It is still doing everything that I asked it to do or it was supposed to do. Task 3 is Chrome, automating the browser task. Last one. And we'll take care of Claude Code a bit later. So in chat, you paste a URL and ask about it. In Chrome, Claude actually sees the page, reads it, interacts with it, fills the form, clicks the button. So let's give this a try now. I open Claude in a new window and I go to extensions. I open Claude as the extension and here it is open in front of me. Read this page and create a 3-bullet summary. Find the author's name and my contact info. So let's say I open my website sawankumar.com. Now that's my website. I ask it to read this page and create a 3. Okay. Now this is the prompt on the right bottom corner. What it is going to do is read the page directly, extract the main points, and let's see. So here is what I found. Author is Sawan Kumar, 3-bullet summary. Sawan Kumar is a Dubai-based AI consultant, business coach, and chartered accountant who has trained over 79,000 students globally through 71 courses. He created the Made Easy framework. He offers multiple engagement options, contact info, and so on. So this is what or how Chrome Claude works. Now imagine this for research, form filling, price comparison, data harvesting. Claude isn't just answering questions about pages. It actually interacts with them. The difference? Well, chat is describing a photo to someone over the phone. Chrome is showing them the photo. To compare, well, chat, Cowork and Chrome. Chat is a text advice. Cowork, we got the files created. And in Chrome, it's for browser interaction. In chat, you cannot step away. In Cowork, you can. In Chrome, you can't. So if you need to think, it's chat. If you need work done, it's Cowork. If you need browser stuff, it's Chrome. Now, pick one mode and try it right now. Chat about something, organize a folder, or summarize a page. 5 minutes and feel the difference. And we are done with this session. The key takeaways here were chat is equal to the thinking partner, questions, advice, brainstorming, and text output. Cowork is equal to work done. Chrome is equal to browser power, and each mode solves a different problem. You can Refer to the resources section for these. And we are done. So you have seen what each mode can do. Next is money. If you understand how Claude's pricing works, you can set 5x more value from the same plan. Most people have no idea they are leaving value on the table. Plans, pricing, and smart usage. How do you get the maximum value? So let's talk money. If you understand how Claude charges you, really understand it, you can get 5x more work out of the same plan. Some of you will realize you have been overpaid. Some will realize you are on the wrong plan. All of you will leave with a clear framework for smart money decisions. 3 things by the end: which plan is right for you, how usage actually works, and it's not what you think, and tactical moves to stretch your plan as far as possible. Segment 1, the plan lineup. Let us do an honest breakdown, not salesy, okay? Free. Chat only, resets every 5 to 8 hours and is good for testing. Pro, $20 per month, and this plan is for 90% of the people. All models, all tools. Max, 5x the usage, is for $100 a month. It is for people who consistently hit Pro limit. Max, that is a 20x for $200 a month. I am on this. It is for power users, agencies doing 50+ tasks daily. Team standard, that comes for $25 per user, SSO, admin controls, and centralized billing. Team premium, that comes for $150 per user, adds Claude code environment and dev teams. Enterprise, custom pricing, HIPAA, and audit logging. Recommendations, start on Pro and upgrade when you need it. Don't overthink it. Next is how usage works. Now, Claude charges in messages. In chat, 1 prompt plus 1 response is equal to 1 message. In co-work, now 1 task might use 5, 10, or 15 messages. Each sub-step Claude takes costs a message. So in chat, you are thinking 50 questions a day. In co-work, you are thinking 10 complex tasks. And models have different costs. Opus uses roughly 5x the budget of Sonnet. Pro gives you roughly 45 Opus messages per day or 225 Sonnet messages per day. Now that's 9 complex Opus tasks or 45 routine Sonnet tasks. Plenty if you are smart. And when you hit limits, there are no overage fees, no surprises. Claude says, come back tomorrow or upgrade. That's all. Now, let us talk about the Sonnet versus Opus decision. And this is one mistake that I was doing. I was running everything on Opus. Single biggest money saving tip in this course. So Sonnet 4.6 is 80% as good as Opus for 95% of tasks and uses 1/5 of the budget. Rule is default to Sonnet. Switch to Opus only for complex multi-file analysis, deep strategic reasoning, or agent teams. That will cover later. Everything else, organizing files, spreadsheets, blog posts, data extraction, Sonnet. Now, if you do 30 tasks a week with 25 on Sonnet and 5 on Opus, you're getting 80% of the value at 20% of the cost. Most people do the opposite. Don't. ROI and pro tips. The ROI formula is hours saved into hourly rate is equal to the monthly value. So if you're saving 5 hours per week at $50 an hour, that's $1,000 a month in value. Pro costs $20. That's a 50x return. If you're saving 10 hours at $100 an hour, that's $4,000 per month. Max costs $200, 20x return. And this isn't a cost, it is an investment. And I have 5 tips to stretch your plan. Batch similar tasks. One well-crafted co-work task beats 5 separate ones. Be specific in prompts. Organize my files into subfolders for images, documents, and PDF, and then create a summary. Beats organize my files. 1 message versus 5. Default to Sonnet. This alone cuts usage in half. Chat for quick questions. Co-work for real work, because chat uses fewer messages per interaction. Check your usage dashboard weekly. Settings, usage, understand your patterns, and optimize. Now, how do you do that? You go to Claude Desktop, Settings, and Usage. Check how many messages you have used today and which model. That is your baseline. We will revisit this. Okay, let me actually show you if I can right away. So let's see, here it is. I go to settings, I go to usage, and here I am. Current session resets in 1 hour 17 minutes, max 20x, 73% used. Weekly limits, all models 33% used. Sonnet only 0% used. Last updated less than a minute ago. Extra usage, if I have done extra usage beyond my plan. Good. So this is this, and we are done. Key takeaways for this lesson would be: start with Pro, right for 90% of us, upgrade only if you hit limits consistently. Sonnet is 80% as good as Opus at 1/5 the cost, your biggest ROI lever. One co-work task is equal to multiple messages, so budget accordingly. The ROI is absurd. 5 hours saved per week at $50 an hour is equal to 50x return on Pro. Batch tasks, be specific, default to Sonnet, and check your dashboard. These cut usages in half. I have some resources for you, and now you know the modes, you know the right plan. Next, we'll be prompting like a pro and mastering chat, because if your prompts are vague, your results will be vague, no matter which tool you use. So let's fix that. And this ends our foundations and ecosystem section 1. We'll continue with the section 2. See you there. Have a great and a wonderful day. The art of talking to Claude. Prompting that gets results. This is what we are going to cover in the entire section 2. Starting with why most people use Claude wrong and how to fix it. Now, you know that feeling when you ask Claude something and get back a generic, half helpful response that feels like it was written by a robot. Yeah, that's not Claude's fault. That is yours. And I'm going to show you exactly why, and more importantly, how to fix it in the next 5 minutes. See, here is the thing. Most people use Claude like a search engine. You type a question, you get an answer, and done. But here is what separates people who get incredible results from Claude versus people who get mediocre ones. Mindset. Now, think about it this way. If you hired someone for $20 a month to be your digital employee, write emails, analyze data, brainstorm ideas, code things, would you just yell vague instructions at them and expect magic? No, you would be specific. You would give context. You would explain what good looks like. You would probably iterate if the first version wasn't quite right. And that's the gap. Most people treat Claude like a vending machine, but Claude is actually more like a brilliant but new colleague who is willing to do almost everything if you tell them what you actually want. Now, let me break down the most common mistakes I see. Mistake number 1 is too vague. A bad prompt could be, help me with my resume. Now, Claude doesn't know if you're starting from scratch, tweaking an existing one, applying for a specific job, or what. So it gives you generic advice. You get frustrated and you blame Claude. Mistake number 2, no context. Write a blog post about productivity. Now, again, what audience? What tone? How long? Now, is this for a startup blog or a self-help website? For beginners or experienced professionals? Claude has to guess. And when it guesses, you usually don't like the guess. Mistake number 3, treating every mode the same. Now, some people think Claude in the mobile app works differently than Claude in the browser or in code. Well, it doesn't. The context changes, the tool changes, but the principle is the same. Specificity wins. Mistake number 4, not iterating. Now, even good prompts don't always land perfectly the first time. But instead of refining, actually, you can make this less formal, or can you focus more on X? People just accept the first answer or move on. Now, that's money left on the table. Okay, so now let me show you the difference a specific prompt makes. Same task, 2 different approaches. We'll be using a bad prompt and we'll be using a good prompt. Okay, so I will be opening Claude for you once again. Here I am. This is chat and this is the bad prompt. Create a custom email template for when someone cancels their subscription. Now, that's a bad prompt. Why is it bad? We'll see the answer and find it out ourselves. And here is the email. win back, clean, goodbye, and feedback, and pause instead of cancel. There are 3 templates that I got, and I think Claude did a fantastic job based on a single line of prompt that I gave it, right? Now let's see the specific prompt. Create a customer email template for when a mid-market SaaS customer cancels their subscription. The audience is this, the tone is this, the format is this, include a brief feedback question and a comeback offer, and hit on enter this time again. So do you understand the difference? And the change or the result would obviously be different because the context changes, the tone changes, everything changes over here. So it would be much more relevant to you. It would be much more in line with what exactly you wanted. And here are 2 templates again, warm and direct, feedback, forward. Now you can compare both side by side and see which one is better. Now same Claude, same model, completely different results. And this isn't magic. It is just clarity, and here is what Anthropic themselves say about this. Think of Claude as a brilliant but new employee who lacks context on your norms and workflows. The more precisely you can explain what you want, the better the result. And there is even a golden rule at Anthropic. Show your prompt to a colleague with minimal context on the task and ask them to follow it. If they would be confused, Claude will be too. And that's it. That's the test. And we are done. Key takeaways, the outcome first mindset. Stop asking Claude, help me with X. Start asking Claude, create a specific thing that does specific job. Shift from how to what. From how to what. Vague prompts is equal to vague results. This is non-negotiable. The specificity you put in is the specificity you get out. Context is your friend. Spend 30 seconds explaining who your audience is, why you are doing this, and what good looks like. And Claude will nail it the first time. Iteration matters. Your first answer doesn't have to be your last. Refine, adjust, make it better. And that's how you get from good to great. Now the difference between a $20 per month chatbot and a $20 per month digital employee is literally how you talk to it. Most people are renting the chatbot version. You're about to start using the employee version. And here are these resources which you will find in the resources section. Now that you know why specificity matters, the next session gives you a framework you can use immediately. The outcome first prompt framework, a special structure that works for everything from emails to code to creative projects. Stick around. The outcome first prompt framework. What if I told you there is a 4-part formula that works for almost every prompt you will ever write? Not just for Claude, but for any AI, any task, any mode. And let me walk you through it. By the end of this lecture, you will have a mental template you can use forever. So in the last session, I showed you that specificity wins. But be specific is advice. What you really need is a system, something you can actually use without thinking too hard about it. And that system is the outcome first prompt framework. And this has 4 parts: outcome, context, constraints, and format. So let me tell you about each. Outcome. What are you actually trying to create? Context. What does Claude need to know? Constraints. What are the rules and the limits? And the format. What should the output look like? If you can answer these 4 questions, you can write a killer prompt every single time. So let's break each one down. Part 1 is the outcome. And this is the hardest part for people to nail down. And it's also the most important. So outcome is not help me write X or give me advice on Y. Outcome is create a specific deliverable. So create a LinkedIn post maybe. Now that serves this specific purpose. Now that positions me as an AI expert. Not help me with a LinkedIn post about AI trends. But what? Create a LinkedIn post that positions me as an AI expert for my network. Emphasizes practical applications over hype. And encourages engagement from other professionals in my industry. You see the difference? The first is vague. Help me with a LinkedIn post about AI trends. But the second one is specific. The second is a deliverable with a job to do. Anthropic's guidance here is be specific about the desired output. Know what you are asking for before you ask for it. Part 2. Context. Now, Claude knows what you want, but Claude doesn't know enough to do it well. So context answers: who is the audience? What is the background? Why are you doing this? And what is the bigger picture? So let's say you want a sales email. The context would be, this email is going to VP level decision makers at mid-market SaaS companies. They are busy, skeptical of pitches, but interested in solutions that save time or money. The company is an AI automation tool, and this is a cold outreach campaign. They have never heard of us. Now Claude isn't writing to an imaginary person. Claude is writing to your person. Anthropic's guidance here is adding context or motivation behind your instructions can help Claude better understand your goals. Context is not fluff. It is the secret ingredient. Part 3, that is constraints. Constraints are the rules: length, tone, style, what to include, what to exclude. Now for the same email, the length would be 100 to 150 words, tone would be professional but conversational, must include a specific pain point and one social proof point, must avoid jargons and generic phrases. Now constraints keep Claude from going off the rails. Without them, you get bloated responses, and with them, you get exactly what you need. And the last one is the format. Finally, you know, or what does the output look like? A table, bullet points, a document, code, a script. So you say return as a single email with subject line plus body copy, ready to copy paste into Salesforce. Separate subject from body with a blank line. Format saves you time because Claude delivers exactly what you can use. No extra explanation, no wrong structure. Let me walk you through 3 real prompts, built piece by piece. Example 1. Outcome: analyze this month's customer churn data and identify the top 3 reasons people cancelled. Context: our user base is mostly freelancers and small agencies. Churn usually happens in the first 30 days. Constraints is focused on actionable insights, not just raw numbers. Exclude churned users who never got activated. The format: return as a bulleted list with the reason. Percentage of churn and 1 recommended action per reason. So let me show this to you actually. I don't think just reading it out would help you. I go to chat, I click on a new chat, and here I paste it. And now this is what I was talking about. Outcome, context, constraints, and the format. So this is the format. Let's look at the next example. A creative project, okay? And I'll show you the prompt. The creative project. Now if you see this, the outcome is write 5 subject lines for a sales email about a new product feature. The context is the product is a product management software for remote teams. The feature helps teams stay aligned without constant meetings. The audience is overworked project managers. Constraints is curiosity driven, not benefit driven. 6 to 8 words each. No exclamation points. Format: number them on 5 and add a 1-sentence note on why each works. Similarly, we have another example for code, and we can keep going on with several examples. Give this a try. Build a prompt for yourself. And we are done here. What did we learn? The 4-part framework. Outcome: what is the deliverable? Context: what does Claude need to know? Constraints: what are the rules? And the format: how should the output look? And this works everywhere. Chat, code, cowork, Chrome, doesn't matter. The principle is the same. It gets faster. After a few prompts, you will do this automatically. It becomes second nature. Quality follows clarity. Every mediocre response from Claude traces back to one of these 4 elements being fuzzy. Fix the fuzzy thing, you fix the response. Here are some resources for you to look at from Anthropic. Now, you have the framework. Next, we are going deep on most powerful element, context. How to give Claude the right files. links, examples, and reference material. So it produces accurate, relevant outputs every single time. Context is king. Files, links, examples, and reference materials. So you know that feeling when someone asks you a question without any background. You're basically guessing. Well, Claude feels the same way. But here is the thing. Claude is not just better with context. Claude is transformed by it. I'm talking 30 to 50% improvements in response quality. And that's not incremental. That's game changing. Welcome back. I'm going to show you the single biggest lever for improving every prompt you write: context. And this isn't a nice to have. This is the difference between Claude being helpful and Claude being phenomenally useful. And the best part, it's simple once you know how. So, what context really is? Context is any information Claude needs to do the job well. It's not decoration, it is the fuel. Think of it like this. If a prompt is your question, context is the entire situation around that question. The research backs it up. Anthropic's own testing shows that putting long-form information early in your prompt above your actual task can improve response quality by up to 30%. Now, Claude processes information top to bottom, and starting with rich context sets the stage perfectly. Now, what are the types of context you can give Claude? Let me walk through the main kinds. Files and documents. Upload PDFs, Word documents, research papers, code files. In Claude Chat, you paste or upload directly. In Cowork, you grant folder access and reference files. Claude reads them all. Links and web content. Now in Chat, paste a URL. In Chrome, Claude can already see the page you are looking at, and that's automatic context. In Cowork, you can use web fetch to grab content from URLs. Examples? So Claude, what you want, don't just describe it. Now it is called few shot prompting. Anthropic recommends 3 to 5 examples for best results. Wrap them in tags so Claude knows these are references and not tasks. Screenshots and visuals. Upload a screenshot of your current design, a competitor's web page, a document layout you like. Claude sees it all. Previous works. Now paste your latest version, your draft, your existing code. Claude uses that as a baseline. Reference material, brand guidelines, style sheets, API documentation, company tone guides, anything that defines how we do things here. So you have to structure your context or context like a pro. Anthropic's guidance is clear. Use XML tags to structure complex context. For documents, wrap them like this. Your document content here. For example, input what you gave Claude, output what you want Claude to produce. Now this tells Claude, here is the reference material versus here is the task. Now it's like organizing your desk before you start working. And the order matters. Put your context first, then your instructions, and then your specific query. This order works better because Claude processes sequentially. Your structure should be context, files, examples, reference material, instructions, your approach, constraints, requirements, the query, what you actually want right now. For an example, let's say you want Claude to write a product description. Our minimal context could be write a product description for our new coffee maker. Claude response is fine, generic, could be any brand. Version 2 could be a rich context. So I am including our brand guidelines. The tone is witty, conversational, sustainability focused. Our target audience are eco-conscious millennials. Budget is $150 to $250. 3 examples of product descriptions we have written that nailed it, and a competitor's description so Claude knows what to avoid. Same prompt. Now Claude writes something that feels ours, specific, on brand, alive. The difference? Well, context. Nothing else changed. The ground in quotes technique, pro move. So when asking Claude to extract information from a document, ask it to quote relevant parts first. So instead of summarizing this contract's payment terms, find the passages about payment terms, quote them first, and then summarize what they mean. So Claude becomes more accurate when it points to the source. It's harder to hallucinate when you have already cited your evidence. And that's all. So what did we see? Context is not optional. It is the primary determinant of response quality. Give Claude everything it needs: files, examples, screenshots, links, previous work. Reference material. Structure context with XML tags. Make it clear what's reference versus what is the task. Lead with context. Now put it at the top of your prompt, before instructions and before queries. Use examples strategically, 3 to 5 examples wrapped in tags. Show them, show it, don't just tell. And the ground in quotes move. Ask Claude to cite before it summarizes. More accurate every single time. Now, these are some of the resources that you can refer to, and now you know how to give Claude what it needs. But here is the next piece, telling Claude how to work with that context. And that is constraints, format, tone, length, and style. That is what is coming up next. Constraints that control quality. Ever get back a response from Claude that is technically correct, but just not what you wanted? Too formal, too long, wrong format. And here is what most people don't realize. That is not Claude's fault. It is your prompt's fault. You didn't tell Claude the rules. But once you do, everything changes. So constraints are guardrails. They are the difference between Claude giving you a response and Claude giving you the response you actually need. And the best part, you don't need to be verbose about it. A single, well-placed constraint can transform your output. So let's talk about how. So what exactly does constraints do? A constraint is any rule you give Claude about how to deliver the answer. Now, it's not about the information itself. It is about the wrapper. Think about cooking. Context is your ingredients. Constraints are your recipe. Amazing ingredients with no recipe is equal to unpredictable results. So the 4 key types. Constraints are of 4 key types. Format constraint, tone constraint, length constraint, and style constraint. Format constraint. It tells Claude the exact structure. You want it in a markdown format, JSON, a table, a numbered list, prose, code, whatever. So instead of organize this information, you say format this as a markdown table with 3 columns, feature, benefit, and price. The tone constraint, professional, casual, witty, technical. One sentence about tone makes a massive difference. Example, write this as a senior marketing strategist with 15 years of B2B SaaS experience would write it. Now that one role descriptor shifts entire voice. Length constraints, word count, page count, section count. Be explicit. Around 1000 words beats write a lot. 5 bullet points maximum is clearer than to be concise. Claude does not have intuition about your time or your limits. You do. And the last one is style constraint. What to include, what to exclude, what to emphasize. Use plain language a 10-year-old would understand. No jargon, no acronyms unless you define them. Or be provocative. Challenge conventional wisdom. Now let's look at the inversion trick. What is this? Anthropic's guidance is clear. Tell Claude what to do, not what not to do. So instead of don't use jargons, tell it to use plain language a 10-year-old would understand. Instead of don't make it too long, keep it to 300 words maximum. Instead of don't be condescending, write as a peer and not a teacher. Negative instructions are easy to misinterpret. Positive instructions are crystal clear. So match your prompt style to your desired output. A pro principle from Anthropic: if you want Claude to write in prose, write your prompt in prose. If you want structured bullet points, use bullets in your prompt. If you want casual, write casually. Claude mirrors your energy. Your prompt is a template. Do you get this? Pause it, think about it, and then keep moving. Let's talk about role prompting, the single sentence power move. Setting a role focuses Claude's behavior instantly. Just one sentence. You are a sales copywriter who specializes in converting skeptics. You are a researcher with a PhD in behavioral psychology. You are a startup founder who has raised 3 rounds of funding. Even a single role line changes the tone, the vocabulary, the perspective, and the confidence level. Let us look at this. Same task, 4 different constraint approaches. Try this in your Claude right now with me. The task is to write content about productivity. You just ask Claude to write content about productivity. Version 1 to have no constraints. It would be generic, middle of the road, safe and boring. Version 2, give it a role. You are David Allen, creator of the Getting Things Done methodology. Now it's opinionated, specific and credible. Version 3, add or with format plus tone. Write this as a Twitter thread, 10 tweets maximum. Tone, irreverent and practical, punchy, scannable and memorable. And version 4, all constraints stacked, role plus format plus length plus tone plus style. And now it's perfect. Exactly what we would use. Same core content, completely different usefulness. And that's constraints at work. A reusable constraint template could be looking like: you are the role, write the format, the length, specific word count or section count, tone, describe it, style, what to include, what to exclude. And when you stack constraints, you're not being controlling, you are being clear. That is the key. You are not controlling the output. You're not controlling Claude or ChatGPT or any of the LLMs. You are being clear about what you want. That's all. And we are done. So constraints are guardrails. They determine quality by defining the rules of the game. We have 4 types of constraints: format, tone, length, style. Cover these and you are covered. Use positive language. Tell Claude what to do, not what not to do. Match your prompt style to your desired output. Prose means prose. Bullets, so bullets. And rule prompting is powerful. One sentence that sets, identify, shifts everything. Stack constraints for precision. Role plus format plus length plus tone plus style is equal to predictable, high quality output every single time. These are some resources for you. You can have a look at it in the resources section. And you have got context mastered. Constraints logged in. But what happens when the first output isn't quite right? We get to the iteration loop. And that is what we would be covering in the next session. How to refine, correct, and improve Claude's outputs without starting from scratch. See you there. The iteration loop. Refining, correcting, and improving outputs. So here is something that surprised me when I first started using ChatGPT or Claude. I used to delete conversations, like genuinely delete them when Claude gave me something I didn't love. And that's not it. Let me start fresh. Terrible habit, because I was throwing away the context, the understanding, everything Claude already knew about what I wanted. And then I learned the real superpower, iteration, and everything changed. So what separates people who get mediocre results from people who get exceptional ones, be it Claude or life? The people getting exceptional results almost never accept the first output. They refine it. They layer in corrections. And this is not criticism of Claude. It's just how great output works. You collaborate, you evaluate, and you adjust. And that's exactly what we are going to learn in this session. We'll be covering the iteration loop, why it works, when to use it, and exactly how to turn a meh output into something that's great. Okay, so the iteration loop framework. The pattern is simple. Generate, evaluate, refine, and repeat. That's all. Step 1. Ask Claude something. Simple. Get the output. Step 2. Read it. Evaluate against what you actually needed. Does it have the right tone? The right length? Is it missing something? Step 3. Give Claude specific feedback. Step 4. Repeat until it is what you needed. Now it works because Claude remembers context. Each follow-up is informed by everything that came before. So what are the types of follow-ups that work? Here is what works. Make this shorter, aim for half the length. Add 3 concrete examples after the 3rd paragraph. Rewrite this in a casual conversational tone. Keep everything you just wrote, but fix section 2 to address ROI instead. Now, these are the kind of iterations you can do, and actually much more. These are just a few examples that came randomly to my mind. No, but notice what these have in common. They are specific and actionable. Claude knows exactly what to do. So these are the types of follow-ups that work. And there are follow-ups that don't work. What are they? Make it better. Too vague. Better? How? That's not what I meant. No, without explaining what you meant. Starting a new conversation entirely, you lose all the context. Now, Anthropic's prompt engineering guide shows how chaining tasks dramatically improves the output. Generate a draft. Ask Claude to evaluate it against your criteria. Ask Claude to refine based on that evaluation. Structured feedback, not just try again. Now, there is something called the self-check technique, a tactical move from Anthropic's best practices. Ask Claude to verify its own work. Append something like, before you finish, double check your answer against these criteria and list your criteria. Claude catches its own mistakes remarkably often when asked to verify. And you are not accusing it of being wrong. You are asking it to quality check. And so that was the self-check technique. Next is the build-up technique. Start simple, add complexity in layers. So instead of asking for the perfect 2000 word guide on day one, you say, write me a quick 500 word intro of this topic. Now add a common mistakes section. Now create a case study example. Now add a troubleshooting section. Each iteration is small and clear. By the end, you have built something comprehensive. Now, let me take another example. Say you want to write a blog, a 2000 word blog. You don't say write a 2000 word blog. You say, first, research the topics, create the outline, expand each section, and so on. So that way, you are building things up and not asking to do everything at once. Now, when to iterate versus when to restart. You iterate when the direction is right, but the quality or the specifics need adjustment. Tone is off, too long, and example needs to be clearer. But you restart when the fundamental direction is wrong. Claude misunderstood what you wanted. Starting fresh with a clearer prompt is faster than redirecting. The question, does continuing give me better context, or is it getting muddier? That is something that you have to answer. Let's talk about iteration in co-work. In co-work, the iteration loop is built in. You get an output, review it, give feedback, and co-work revises the actual files. Iteration on steroids. You are refining real work artifacts and not just text. We'll be seeing all of this in much more details later. Now, let us actually have a practical moment. So we say to Claude, write a professional email declining a meeting request politely. And Claude generates something. Let's see what Claude generates. I want to use co-work for this. Let me use chat for this. A new chat. And I ask it to write a professional email declining a meeting request politely. And Claude would generate something, right? Fine. But could be too formal for our company culture. So what you do is you follow up. You say it to rewrite that, but make it sound like a friendly colleague and not a formal business letter. Keep it brief. Now that's the next one. And now, it's better obviously, but now I need it to offer an alternative. So I once again add yet another follow-up prompt that says add a sentence offering to meet next week instead with a specific day reference. 3 follow-ups from stiff and formal to warm, helpful, and actionable. And that is the iteration loop. That's how simple it was. So, to conclude, where were we? So, to conclude, iteration beats starting over. Keep the conversation, use the context. Be specific in your feedback. Make it shorter, beats, make it better. Tell Claude exactly what you want. Use a self-check pattern. Ask Claude to verify its work against your criteria. Build up and don't ask for perfection. Start simple, layer in complexity, and know when to restart. If the direction is fundamentally wrong, a new prompt is faster. Now these are some resources from Anthropic for you to have a look at, and we are done. You now know how to iterate. You know how to ask good follow-up questions. Now you need templates. Ready-made prompts you can copy, paste, and customize. Next, I'll be showing you 20 prompt templates for research, content, business, and productivity. Literally, copy paste these and get to work. 20 ready-to-use prompt templates for business and productivity. Well, the best prompts I have ever written. Most of them didn't start from scratch. They started from a template I built once and then adapted for the specific situation. And that's what this lecture is, or this session is. It's not just theory. It is your copy-paste library. Bookmark it. Come back to it whenever you need to get something done. So by now you understand the framework. You now know how to write a clear prompt. You have got the fundamentals locked. But here is the reality. When you're busy, deadline, project, decisions to make, you don't want to build everything from scratch. You want a starting point. And this session gives you 20 of them, organized by use case, actual prompt text, some for chat, some for code, some for co-work, some for Chrome. I'll highlight 10 of the best ones here. The full 20 template library is in your course resources, downloadable and ready to use. So, category 1 is research and analysis. Template 1 for competitive analysis. Analyze competitor name, product, provide key features and strengths, pricing model, target market, main weaknesses or gaps, how we are different, format as a structured report I can present to the team. Why does this work? It breaks analysis into concrete sections. Claude knows exactly what you need, best for chat. Second template is a decision-making framework. I need to decide between option A and option B for the context. Now help me by listing 5 key criteria that matters, evaluating each option against those criteria, noting the risks, recommending one with clear reasoning, and assume the constraints. Why this works? It structures a decision and not just an opinion. You get criteria, evaluation, and reasoning you can defend. This again is best for chat. The second category is content creation. The third template, blog post or article. Write a 2000-word blog post about the topic for the audience. Include a compelling headline, a hook intro, 3 to 4 main sections with examples, a practical takeaway, tone, specify. First paragraph should address, give the specific angle. Why it works? It prevents generic content. Specificity is equal to better output. Best for chat. Template 4 is for the email sequence. Similarly, we have category 3 that is for business operations. The 5th template is on project status report. 6th is on process documentation. Then we have some for personal productivity, weekly planning, learning plan. Then we have some for advanced and cross modes, multi-step workflows for co-work, code automation for code, and get the entire list in the resources section, and we are done with section 2. To conclude, templates are the starting points. Copy, paste, and then customize for your context. Specificity in templates work. The ones that break down needs into concrete sections get the best results. Different modes, different templates. Chat, code, co-work, Chrome. Match the tool to the job. The full library is 20 templates across research, content operations, productivity, and advanced, all in your course resources. You will build your own after a few months, but you will adapt these into your personal library. Here are some resources: Anthropic's Prompt Engineering Guide, Prompting Best Practices, along with the course resources and a link to Claude Help Center. So, you have got the framework. You know how to iterate. You have got 20 templates ready to go. Now, it's time to actually use Claude for real work. Next section, we are going deep on Claude, chat, and co-work. Mastering the 2 tools you will use every single day. Let's go. Claude Co-work, your AI desktop agent. We will be diving deep into what co-work is, starting with how delegation actually works. Now you know that feeling when you are drowning in tasks. A project needs organizing, files need creating, data needs analyzing, and it all feels like it will take hours. What if I told you that you could describe what you actually need, hit send, and watch Claude do the work? And that's not fantasy. That is co-work, and today we are going deep into how it actually works. So co-work is Claude on your desktop. It's not a web app. It's not cloud magic. It is a sandboxed Linux virtual machine running right on your machine, doing real work with real files. Your files stay your files, and they never leave your computer, never touch Anthropic's servers. It is privacy by design. But there's something that makes it revolutionary. You don't describe the steps, you just describe the outcome. You say, I need this spreadsheet organized and an index created, and Claude figures out the how. Let us understand the mental model, the outcome, and not the steps. So when you're used to giving instructions, you often micromanage. Click this, type that, move this file here, and that is exhausting. Co-work works differently. Instead of steps, you describe the job. I have a messy folder for research papers. I need them organized by topic with subfolders for each major theme. And I want a README that explains the structure. That's all what you do. Now, Claude then thinks like a senior team member. It breaks the job into a plan. It figures out the tools it needs. It executes, and you get a result. This is the core shift. Outcome-driven delegation. The execution workflow. Let us understand this. So here is what actually happens under the hood when you submit a task to Cowork. Step 1, analyze. Claude reads your request and figures out what you are really asking for. Create a professional proposal means understand the tone, formatting, and the structure. Step 2 is plan. Claude breaks the tasks into subtasks. For a proposal, that's research section, pricing section, timeline, call to action. It decides what runs sequentially and what can run in parallel. Step 3, sub-agents. And this is where it gets really powerful. Claude can spin up parallel workers. While one agent researches competitor pricing, another creates the template. While one reads your source files, another writes sections. Complex tasks that would take you hours, parallelized. Step 4 is tools. Claude uses real tools in that Linux virtual machine. Bash for file operations, read for accessing files, write for creating new ones, edit for modifying existing files, glob for finding patterns, grep for searching content, web search for research, web fetch for pulling data. Now each tool does one job well. And step 5 is delivery. Files appear on your machine, in your folders, ready to use. The whole thing happens in that sandbox. No data leaves, no privacy compromised. Now, the sandbox. Your machine, your control. Now, when you use web-based AI, your data goes to the cloud, gets processed, comes back. Cowork doesn't work that way. Cowork runs in a sandboxed Linux virtual machine on your local machine. It's isolated. Claude can't access your browser history, your passwords, your other apps, but it can access the folders you explicitly grant it permission to access. You control the boundaries. And let's talk about the permission model. Folder access requires explicit permission. Claude can't rummage through your computer. You grant access to specific folder. Same with deletion. Claude asks for your explicit approval first. You can also see what Claude is doing. You can watch the execution, and if something goes sideways, you stop it. And there's one critical detail. The Claude desktop app must remain open while Cowork is executing. It is the container for that sandbox. Close the app and the execution pauses. So here is a pro tip for you. Specificity wins. So a vague thing is like organize my files. A better text would be organize my client folders or contract folders by year, create a summary spreadsheet with contract value and expiration date, and generate a README explaining the structure. Specificity doesn't make Claude work harder. It makes Claude work smarter. Now, a quick demo. I will not be using this exact demo. You can give this a try, but let me find something else. So I want Claude to organize my documents folder and generate a README explaining the structure. And I click on let's go. Now you see how it is doing the stuff. On the right side, you see there's progress, there are documents, and there's a context. It is now starting to list contents of document folder. That would first count total files and folders in documents. Then it will list all subdirectories in document. Then it's listing remaining subdirectories. It is counting the file types at root level. So you see, it is thinking, it is showing you the steps that it is performing. If you think it is not doing the right thing, you can simply go and pause it. Now it will ask me some questions. Your document folder has 811 files or folders. How deeply should I organize it? Full reorganize, top level only, readme only. So let's say I say full organize. Should I move or delete files that look like duplicates, temp files or junk? Example files named like old.zip archives and so on. So that I get a chance to review those, and if I think they are not needed, I would delete it. And it is doing this job. So on the right side, you will see the progress. If you see over here, I don't think I can zoom in. On the right side, if you see the progress, scan and categorize all files folders, done. Create new folder structure, done. Move files into organized folders, done. So generate readme.md, done. Verify the structure, done. Now, these are the things it is going to do. And now it's doing the thinking part once again. Here it is. This is a massive amount of files. Let me know. Now look at the existing subdirectories to understand what's already organized. Now let me check what's currently in the existing subdirectories. So it's doing all of this, and it would end up getting me what I want. So that is a very quick and a brief explanation of what Cowork can do. This ends the session for today. Key takeaways would be outcome-driven delegation changes how you work. You describe the result and not the steps. The execution flow is transparent. It analyzes, plans, subtasks, executes, and delivers. Sub-agents enable parallelization for complex work. You will see this when you assign some complex work. The sandbox is secure by design, files stay local, and privacy is built in. You control permissions, grant access explicitly, and stay in control. And specificity always wins. More details in your prompt means smarter Claude. Now you can take a look at the resources from Anthropic, and we have covered the how. But here's the real power. What you can actually create with Cowork, from spreadsheets with complex formulas to presentations to organized file systems. And that's what we are diving into. File and document mastery. Create, edit, organize, and transform. So think about the documents you create regularly. Proposals, spreadsheets, presentations, organized file systems, and most of them follow patterns. You know the structure, you know what should go where, but building them from scratch, well, that's tedious. What if you could just describe what you need and it appears magically on your computer, fully formatted and ready? And that's not dreaming. That is Cowork's killer feature. So here is the thing about traditional AI assistant. They can write text, they can give you advice, but they can't actually make things on your computer. And Cowork changes that. It doesn't just generate text. It creates real, usable files in real formats, Word documents, spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, PDFs, Markdown, HTML code files. It is not simulated. It is actual. And it's not just creating blank documents. Claude understands the structure, the formatting, the formulas, the design. You get professional grade output from a text prompt. So let's talk about the document types. Real files, real power. Now, when you ask Cowork to create something, you are not getting a text summary. You are getting an actual file. A Word document, a formatted document with headers, footers, styles, images, tables, professional proposals, reports, contracts, Excel. And here is where it gets serious. Formulas, VLOOKUP, conditional formatting, multiple tabs, charts, data validation, real spreadsheets that do the math, PowerPoint, slide decks with layouts, transitions, speaker notes, presentation ready, print ready PDFs, shareable, logged from accidental edits, .md, .html, .code files, markdown documents, web pages, Python scripts, whatever you need. The key? Claude understands the structural requirement of each format. A .docx is not random text. It is styled. .xlx isn't data in a grid. It is a working spreadsheet with formulas. So let us talk about creating from scratch. And here is the workflow. You describe what you want and Claude creates it. That's all. For example, create a professional project proposal for a website redesign client. Include executive summary, scope of work, timeline, pricing, and terms. Let me copy this. And Claude doesn't just write the text and hand you a .docx. It structures sections logically, applies professional styling, uses appropriate fonts and spacing, creates a cover page, adds a table of content, formats pricing as a table, and delivers it as a ready-to-send document. You're not editing a rough draft, you are getting a finished product. And if you need tweaks, you just describe them, make the color scheme match our brand guide blue and white, move pricing higher, and Claude edits the document. That's how easy it is. Let me actually show this to you real quick. Okay, this is Claude code. I would want to move to co-work. And let's say I say this, create a professional project proposal for a website redesign client. And let's go. Now it is thinking. It is loading the tools to do this. Okay, now it is asking me questions because I was not clear about who the proposal would be sent to, who the client is, and so on. Now, what type of business is the client? This helps tailor the tone and the scope. Let's say a non-profit. What is the approximate budget tier for this project? $2,000 to $5,000. What format should the proposal be delivered in? Do you see this? You can select both. You can select Word document or you can select a PDF document. Let's select Word. And now it will start building the proposal. It will start with reading the docx skill instruction before building the proposal. Let's see. Now I have the docx skill instructions. Let me plan the content, executive summary, about, scope of work, project timeline, pricing and investment, terms and conditions, and the next steps. For a nonprofit with a $2,000 to $5,000 budget, I'll propose a 3,500 basic redesign package with clear deliverables. Now I am writing the JavaScript code to generate this Word document with all the proposal sections formatted professionally. Done. Now these are the things Claude would be doing. Now I'll set up a to-do list and build the proposal. It is. Let me start working on the task. First, install the docx package. So it is doing all that it is supposed. Let us leave it and we'll come back to this while we keep moving ahead. And the next one is interesting. I'm sorry. Now this is where co-work becomes genuinely transformative. Most AI tools can't create real Excel formulas. But co-work can. We give a simple prompt, create a sales tracker with columns for date, salesperson, deal value, region, and status, add a summary, and let it create whatever it is creating, and I create a new chat, and this time I say create a sales tracker in Excel. Okay, and I hit on enter. Now what the Claude would do, it creates properly structured data tabs, working VLOOKUP formulas to pull summary data, conditional formatting rules that actually work, charts that update automatically if you add data, and multiple tabs with proper naming. This is a working tool and not a mockup. You can use it immediately, add more data, and the formulas and charts update in real time. And this is the difference between AI wrote me something that looks like a spreadsheet and AI created an actual spreadsheet I can use daily. So we'll leave this while it creates the Excel for me and we will come back to it. And obviously you can edit existing files. You can make changes because you might not always start from scratch. So if you have a document that needs refinement, you grant co-work access to your folder. You describe the change. So let's say you have a Q2 budget spreadsheet, update the marketing column with new allocations, social media, content, events, and recalculate the totals. And Claude would open the file, read it, understand the structure, makes the surgical edits and saves it. You don't get a rewritten spreadsheet. You get your original file with the precise changes you ask for. And this is Edit Tool Mastery. Claude doesn't rewrite, it modifies. And the next one is bulk organization. Now, like we did it in the last session, if you remember, we organized our documents folder, we organized our downloads folder, and so on. Now, you know that folder that has been a disaster for months. Look at your desktop. Files everywhere, no structure, no names that make sense. And co-work fixes this. Let's say you can give it a prompt like sort my downloads into subfolders, documents, images, video archives, and other. Create a README file explaining the structure and tell me what is in each folder, and it would do the needful. Claude would read the folder content, categorize files intelligently, create subfolders, move files, and generate a summary DB. Your chaos becomes order in seconds. Next is data extraction and transformation. Now this is the power move. And here is a real world scenario for you. You have a PDF of a client list. You need it as a structured spreadsheet, or meeting notes that needs to become an action item list, or research scattered across multiple documents that needs synthesized. Cowork handles this as well. You just say, I have 3 PDFs with research notes, extract all the key findings, organize them by topic, and create a structured markdown documents with citation. What would Claude do? It would read all those 3 PDFs. It can handle images, complex layouts, everything. Extracts relevant information, organizes it logically, creates a clean markdown file, or you can say convert this messy spreadsheet into a professional report with sections, charts, and executive summary. And Claude transforms raw data into polished output. Now let us understand this, the file transformation mindset. This is the insight. Files are not static, they are transformable. Meeting notes into action items and calendar invites. Data into dashboard, contracts into comparison analysis, images to labeled inventory, chaos folder into organized system with documentation. Think in transformations and not in creating from scratch. Your data is the raw material, Cowork refines it. And here is a pro tip for you, specificity about style and structure. Just like in the previous session, specificity wins here as well. But here, specificity means create a professional proposal is vague. Create a professional proposal with our company colors, client name in header, sections for scope, timeline, budget, pricing as a formatted table, and a company logo in the footer. It's clear and it delivers what you described. The first one, that is the sales tracker, the Excel sheet that we had created. Now it is right here, the sales data, the summary tab. And if you see, there is conditional formatting, there are the color keys, there is calculation, there is all of it. There is, yeah. And then there is a chart as well. So you get everything. You just have to go here, maybe connect a Google Drive or show it in the folder and you see the folder. The next what we did was we created a presentation. Is it done? Let's find out. Here it is. And see this. Project proposal, website redesign, prepared for, since I did not say it, the client organization name, I did not put it up, prepared by, Here is the executive summary, our approach, scope of work, project timeline. You see how well, nicely formatted Word document it is? It would have taken possibly hours and hours to have something like this. It thought everything on its own, it built up everything on its own, and it gave you the final result that you can simply copy and paste and done. Now you can also convert this .docx to PDF or whatever your preferences are. And this brings us to the end of this very lesson. Key takeaways: Cowork creates real files in professional formats. Excel formulas, charts, and multiple tabs are standard. Document creation is structural. Editing is surgical. Bulk organization transforms chaos into order. Data transformation turns raw information into polished output. Think in outcomes, and specificity about style and structure ensures you get exactly what you want the first time. And these are some resources to get started with Cowork, using Cowork safely, and downloading the Claude desktop. Now, you know how Cowork works and what you can create. But mastery isn't just knowing the tools. It's knowing when and how to use them. And in the next session, we will look at real workflows, common tasks, and how to structure prompts that get professional results every single time. Research and analysis, from question to professional report. So you know that feeling when someone asks you for a research report and you think, great, another 2 hours of Googling, reading, note-taking, and wrestling with formatting. What if I told you Claude can do all of that in minutes and hand you a polished, professional document ready to share? And that's exactly what we are covering today. So welcome back. In the last session, we talked about how Cowork transforms Claude from a chatbot into an actual task-running agent on your desktop. Now today, we are diving into one of the most powerful workflows Cowork makes possible: research and analysis at professional scale. Here is the reality. Claude has always been great at answering questions. But in Cowork, Claude also becomes a research partner that doesn't just answer. It searches, it synthesizes, it compares and delivers all in one go. Now think about the last time you needed a competitive analysis, a market research summary, or a breakdown of new tools in your industry. You probably spent time searching Google Opened tabs, read articles, took notes, tried to synthesize it all into something coherent, something meaningful, formatted it into a document, and worried you had missed something important. Now, what if steps 1 through 4 happened automatically? Well, that's what we are here for, the research workflow. So let me walk you through how this actually works. In Cowork, now when you give Claude a research task, it follows a repeatable pattern. And what is that? Step 1 is search, step 2 is fetch and read, step 3 is analyze and synthesize, and step 4 is the report delivery. Okay, so starting with step 1, search. You describe what you need. Claude uses the web research tool to scan the internet for relevant current information. And this is not random Googling. Claude understands your questions and researches strategically. So if you are researching top project management tools for remote teams in 2026, Claude doesn't just search that phrase. It understands you care about remote work, modern tools, and real world comparison. Step 2, it fetches and it reads. So Claude doesn't just grab search result snippets. It uses web fetch to actually read the full content of promising pages. And this is huge. It means Claude can read detailed feature breakdowns on official product pages, extract pricing information from current sources, understand nuanced comparisons and not just the headlines. Step 3, analyze and synthesize. And here is where Claude becomes a researcher, not a summarizer. It takes all that information and identifies patterns across sources, compares tools against criteria you specify, draws insights you probably wouldn't catch skimming articles, and flags where sources disagree and why. And step 4, it delivers the report. It creates the report. So Claude writes a formatted professional document, Word, PDF, or Markdown that you can share immediately. Not a messy collection of notes, a real formatted report. You don't believe me? We'll find it out. So let me make this concrete. Say you work in HR and need to recommend a new HRIS platform for your 50% company. Okay. You care about pricing for mid-market teams, ease of use. Now, your team is not super technical, integration with your existing Slack and Google Workspace, and compliance features like GDPR SOC 2. So instead of spending a day researching, you give Cowork this task. Research the top 5 HRIS platforms for mid-market companies, 25 to 100 employees in 2026. Compare them on pricing, ease of use. Okay, let me copy this prompt and take it to Claude Cowork. Here I am, paste it. Okay. And I hit enter. Now, I run the task in Cowork and watch Claude what it does. It is reading the skill.md, loading the tools, it is doing setting up the infrastructure to begin the research. Now, once that is done, just have a look at what it is going to do. It is creating some tasks. It is doing the thinking part right now. Let us wait a while. So these are the things that it is going to do. Research top 5 HRIS platforms, build recommendation metrics, generate the Word document, and verify and validate the final document. Now these are the 4 things that Claude Cowork is going to do. So it is searching the web. You see this? It is searching the web. These are the things that it has searched for. Good, I have some initial results. Let me do more targeted searches for each platform's specific features, prices, and integrations. Done. Now let me fetch more specific details on integrations, pricing, and compliance for each platform. It is once again searching the web. It is working on it. Now I now have enough research data. Let me also do a quick search for Paycor as a mid-market option, since it was mentioned, and confirm the top 5 platforms I will focus on. Now these are the 5 platforms that it is going to focus on, and it is still doing the research. It has not given you the result. Now I have enough research. Let me synthesize the data for my top 5 platforms. Now let me compile the comprehensive comparison data and build the Word document. So all of this is happening in the background. You don't actually get to see it until you expand this. But all of this is happening in the background and you are going to get the final document. That's how easy and simple it is going to be. And it does not take more than a few minutes. So it did so much research. Just have a look at it. It is still thinking, so probably it is creating the document for us. Okay, so For the recommendation metrics, I will focus on write the document setup. It has synthesized all the research data, and now it is writing the document setup. I'm setting up the landscape section for the comparison table. I need to configure the page dimensions for the recommendation scoring table. I'm planning a 8-column layout with the criteria column. You see the depth of research, the depth of synthesizing, and the depth of all that it is doing. Building the complete document generation script, setting up the document styling, writing helper functions and data, working through a complex response, and we are kind of, it's close to getting done. Okay, 1 minute 41 seconds. That's not much for this amount of research, I would say. Okay, let's come back to this. In the meantime, we can continue with the next part, that is data analysis and synthesis. Now, research isn't just web-based. Cowork also excels at upload a CSV spreadsheet. Claude analyzes the trends, creates the charts, and identifies the patterns. You paste the dataset. Claude finds outliers, correlations, and actionable insights. You combine the multiple sources. Claude synthesizes findings into a coherent narrative. You are essentially getting a research analyst who doesn't get tired. And if we talk about the quality multiplier, here is the pro tip that changes the game. Combine the research with document creation. So instead of find me information about X, try research X and then create a polished report comparing these three options. The multiplication happens because Claude does the research right the first time, no back and forth. You get the finished deliverable and not the raw notes. You can iterate on the document and not on the research. And if Claude's recommendation matrix doesn't format right, you can say make the table wider, add best for column. And because now you're not researching, you are refining the output. Let's see if our report is ready. Not yet. Okay, so I have a pro tip for you. Give Claude your criteria upfront. Don't just say research project management tools. Instead, tell Claude exactly how to evaluate them. So compare on pricing per user, free tier availability, offline functionality, and chart support, and time tracking integrations. Rank them by best value for small teams. Now, when Claude knows what matters to you, it researches smarter. It looks for those specific features instead of trying to read your mind. Is this done? Still taking time. Okay, so I have a practical task for you. So here is what I want you to try this week. Pick one research task you have been putting off. Now, if you're a student, the research could be about the best colleges. If you are a business owner, you can research about the product idea that you have. Doesn't really matter who you are, where you are. You must have something in your mind. You must have always wanted to research on something, maybe something real, obviously. A tool you are considering, a market you are curious about, a competitor you need to understand. Write it down with your evaluation criteria. Then open Cowork and give Claude the task. Don't overthink it. Just describe what you need to know and how you will use it. And watch what comes back. You will see the difference immediately. Oh, still creating. So, you get this, right? I will pause this because my tokens are being spent and it's just going to take some time. To conclude, Cowork isn't just answering questions anymore. It is doing the research. Claude searches, fetches, analyzes, and synthesizes. The workflow is proven. Search, fetch, analyze, deliver. You can use it for competitive analysis, market research, tool evaluations, data analysis, and more. Give Claude your criteria upfront. The more specific your evaluation framework, the better the research. Combine research with document creation for finished deliverables in one shot. Now, this is the time multiplier. A 4-hour research project becomes a 15-minute co-work task. Here are the resources from Anthropic, and moving on. Now you know how to get Claude to do the research. But here is the challenge. What happens after your first research task? What if you run another task in Cowork the next day? Will Claude remember what you care about? Will it remember the format you prefer? Spoiler, without projects, it won't. And that's exactly what we're fixing in the next lecture. Projects are how you give Claude persistent memory. So it gets better at helping you over time. Let's dive in. Projects, persistent memory, and organized workspaces. So imagine this. You run a research task in Cowork. Claude creates a beautiful report and you are thinking, wow, this is exactly the format I wanted. And then next week, you give Claude another research task and it is fine. But it doesn't quite match the style you loved last time. Claude doesn't remember. Why? Because standalone co-work sessions have amnesia. They start fresh every time. And today, we are solving that. Projects are co-work's answer to persistent memory, and they change everything. Welcome back. So far in this section, we have learned that co-work turns Claude into a task-running agent, and that research becomes a repeatable professional workflow. Both of these things are true, but there has been a gap. The gap is memory. Every time you run a task in standalone co-work, Claude starts from zero. No knowledge of your preferences, your past work, your context, your style. Now, it is like hiring a great employee, giving them amazing work, and then they forget everything overnight. Projects fix this. They are dedicated workspaces with their own files, instructions, memory, and context. And memory is on by default. So, think of project like a folder on your desktop, except it has instructions that Claude reads every single time. It remembers past work and applies what it learned to new tasks. It stays connected to your files and folders. It runs scheduled tasks automatically. Everything stays private on your computer. And that is the game changer we are exploring today. Now, the problem with memory loss. Let me explain why this matters. Say you are in marketing and you run a task. Research Q2 competitor campaigns and create a one-page visual summary. Claude delivers. You love it. The layout, the insight density, the tone, perfect. By the next week, you ask Claude to research Q3 competitor campaigns. Same format, right? Wrong. Claude has no idea what you liked about last week's report. You get a good analysis, but the format this time is different. The tone is slightly off, and you end up giving feedback instead of just using the output. Now multiply that across months of work, and you are constantly retraining Claude on your preferences. But do we have a solution? Well, yes, and that solution is called projects. Projects are workspaces where Claude remembers. And here is what memory means in practice. Your preferences stick around. Past task results inform future work. Context from previous work carries forward. Your tone, your style, and evaluation criteria are remembered. Memory is scoped to the project. And if you have a client reports project and an internal analysis project, they each have separate memories, no bleed over. And that's intentional. Different context, different. Now, there are three ways to create a project, and you have flexibility here. Create a project by number one is starting from scratch. Name it, set it up, add instructions, perfect for brand new workflows. Importing from Claude Web. Now, if you have been using Claude on the web and have a project there, Cowork can import it. Brings over the context and instructions you have already set up. Using an existing local folder. Point Cowork to a folder on your computer. Instantly, that folder becomes your project workspace. Claude can read and write to it. So how about setting up a project that works? So here is what a real project setup looks like. Let's say you are building a client reports project. Step one, name it. Client reports quarterly analysis. We'll do a practical of this, but let me just go through the slides quickly. You name the project. Step two, you add the instructions, and this is crucial. You write instructions that Claude reads before every task. For example, for client reports, you are creating quarterly reports for marketing clients. Each report should, number one, use clear headings. Two, include 3 to 5 data visualizations. Three, recommend 2 to 3 next steps. Four, maintain a professional but approachable tone. Five, use client branding colors in tables. Now, Claude knows your standards. Every task in this project follows those rules automatically. Step three, connect local folders. Add the folder where your client's files live. Claude can now read existing reports, client briefs, past data, everything it needs for context. Step 4, add reference URLs. Paste links to your brand guidelines, your competitor research, industry reports. Claude uses these as context for every task. Now, when you ask Claude to create a Q2 report, it remembers your format preferences from past reports in the folder. knows your brand guidelines, applies the instructions automatically, and creates something consistent with your previous work. And then you have scheduled tasks within projects. And this is a bonus feature actually. Projects support scheduled tasks. Imagine setting up a task that runs automatically every Monday. Summarize this week's Slack messages in the marketing channel and add key decisions to our shared Google Doc. Or generate a daily stand-up report from our project tracker and email it to the team. And these are not one-time tasks. They are recurring automation that runs on a schedule you set. Okay, so now let's create a project. We start with naming it something practical, and for that I open, here is the project folder. I click on new project. Now I have these options. Start from scratch, import a project, and use an existing folder. Let's click on start from scratch. I name it. I give it some instructions. I add some relevant files, and I choose the project location. Okay, and by default the memory is on. Cool. Moving on to the time where you have to do something. So here is your action. Identify one workflow you repeat regularly, something you run every week or maybe every month. Create a project for it. Write down 3 to 4 clear instructions. Connect the folder and then run it again. You will feel the difference. Claude gets better because it remembers. And we are done. To conclude, here are our key takeaways. Projects solve CoWork's memory problem. Memory is on by default and scoped to each project. Memory means consistency. Claude remembers your format preferences, evaluation criteria, and past work. 3 setup paths: start from scratch, import from Cloud Web, or use an existing folder. Instructions are your secret weapon. Clear instructions in a project mean every task follows your rules automatically. Scheduled tasks automate recurring work, set it and forget it. Recurring research, reports, summaries, and more. Now, projects are desktop only right now. Everything stays on your machine. No cloud sync yet, and sharing isn't available yet. That's coming. And here are some resources for you. So you have now learned the foundation of CoWork: how to run tasks, how to research professionally, and how to build persistent workspaces with projects. But CoWork is more than just these individual features. And in the next section, we are going to tie it all together and show you how to build an actual workflow, a real multi-step process that saves your hours every single week. See, global and folder instructions. Let us teach Claude our preferences. Well, how many times have you told Claude the same thing? Use a professional tone, I am a marketing manager, format this as markdown, and it's like having a brilliant assistant with amnesia. Smart, but starting fresh every single conversation. And today we are fixing that. We are teaching Claude who you are once, and then it remembers. So here is the reality. Without instructions, you are explaining context every session. You repeat your role, your preferences, your style, and it's friction. Global and folder instructions eliminate that friction. They are like setting up your workspace. Once you do it right, everything else flows. Think of it this way. You have 3 levels of instructions. Global instructions, things about you that never change. Folder instructions, things about this project that matters. And session level requests, what you need right now. Now, when you layer all of these 3 together, Claude stops being a generic assistant and becomes your assistant. So the problem we are solving. Let's say you are a marketing manager at a B2B SaaS company. Every time you chat with Claude, you want professional but conversational tone, metric-driven language, executive summary first, data formatted as tables, client context included. So right now, you would add that context every session, and that is exhausting. Global instructions change that. Global instructions, let us talk about it. Here is where you set them up. Go to settings. On the bottom left in CoWork, click CoWork, find edit global instructions and add your instructions. This is your text box. Let us give this a try. Settings, click CoWork. So let us go to settings, click on CoWork, and here it is, global instructions. You see instructions here apply to all CoWork sessions. Use this for preferences, conventions, and context that Claude should know. Now this is the global instructions. Now, what should you put in here? Three categories. First, your role and background. So I'm a marketing manager or a director at a B2B SaaS company focused on enterprise security solutions. I've been in this industry for 8 years. Now this gives Claude context for every conversation. It doesn't matter if you're analyzing content strategy or reviewing competitive positioning. Claude knows your expertise level and industry. Second, your tone and format preferences. Always use a professional but conversational tone. Think smart colleague, not a corporate robot. Format reports with an executive summary first. Use metric-driven language and avoid fluff. This becomes your voice. Claude learns how to communicate and builds output to match. Third, things to always include or exclude. So always include competitor context when relevant. Never use marketing jargons without defining it first. Now, when suggesting campaigns, include budget estimates. These are your guardrails. They shape every response without you having to repeat them. And then let's talk about the layering effect. So this is where it gets really powerful. Global instructions apply to every session, okay? But you also have folder instructions. So when you grant Claude access to a specific folder, say your client projects folder, you can add instructions for that folder. Maybe it's this folder contains deliverables for Acme Group. Use our standard template format. Client contact is Sarah, VP of Operations. Always request approval before sharing externally. Now, Claude knows how to work with your preferences, global, how to work with this project's rule, folder, and what you need right now, your specific session request. So it's like giving Claude 3 layers of context. Each one is more specific than the last one. And I have a pro tip for you. Start simple. Don't overthink it. Don't actually overthink about anything when it comes to AI. Most people start with their role and industry, one tone preference, one format preference, and then you live with it for a week. You will notice moments where you think, I have to keep repeating that. And that is your signal. Add it to global instructions because instructions evolve and they would evolve with how you work. You're not logged in. You can always go back and update the instructions. I did actually just show you where to do it. And then you can give this a try. So add I am a product manager or a marketing manager or whoever you are, a business owner, a student, whoever you are, and then ask Claude for the needful. Then you add folders, you grant folder access, you add folder instructions, and then you ask Claude to review. Now, what is your rule? How do you like information formatted? And what is one rule you always want to apply? Per category, and that is your starting point. Then add folder instructions for your current project. Cool. And we are done here. So the key takeaways for this session would be global instructions remove repetition, set them once, they apply everywhere. Folder instructions add project specific context without cluttering your global setup. Start simple, role, tone, format. Add more as you notice friction. The payoff? Claude that feels less like a tool and more like a colleague who already knows your world. And these are some resources like always. Now you have Claude remembering your preferences. Next, we are going to unlock something even bigger. Actual computer control. No more typing requests. Claude is going to open your apps, click your buttons and navigate your desktop. Yes, it is going to do that. It actually is doing that already. So that's when Cowork stops being a writing assistant and becomes your actual desktop agent. Coming up in the automations and integrations. Claude on autopilot. We'll talk about scheduled tasks. Set it and forget it. Now imagine waking up every morning to a perfectly organized briefing already waiting for you. Your calendar summarized, your top emails flagged, your project updates pulled together, and you didn't lift a finger. This is not a fantasy. That's what scheduled tasks in Claude Cowork can do for you right now. So welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to unlock one of the most powerful productivity features inside Claude Cowork called scheduled tasks. Up until now, everything we have done with Claude has been reactive. You ask, Claude responds, but scheduled tasks flip that model on its head. You tell Claude what you need and when you need it. Claude just handles it on autopilot. This feature is available on all paid plans, that's Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise. So if you're on any of those, you are good to go. By the end of the session, you will know exactly how to create, manage, and get the most out of scheduled tasks. So let's dive in. There are two ways to create a scheduled task, and I will walk you through both. Method one is the natural language approach. This is the fastest way to get started. You open up a co-work chat, type /schedule. Now just describe what you want in plain English. For example, every weekday morning, pull my calendar events and summarize what I need to prepare for. Claude will read your request and may ask a few clarifying questions. Things like what time would you prefer the task to run or which calendar you want it to pull from. Once you're happy with the client details, hit the schedule button to confirm it, and that's it. Let us give it a try. So that's Claude Co-work. Here I am. I click here, schedule. And so every Monday morning, pull my calendar events and summarize what I need to prepare for. Every morning, so not even every Monday morning, pull my emails and summarize what I need to prepare for. Let's go. It would ask me possibly a few questions. It would ask me to connect my calendar, the email if it's not connected, and it would create, it's creating a scheduled task. It is using the scheduled task. It would create a schedule for me, and boom, it's done. So I'll pause it for now. You give this a try and let me know. Second is the model approach. Now this gives you a bit more control and structure. What is this? I'll show you. So on the left sidebar of Claude desktop, you see this button, scheduled. You click on scheduled and you click on new task. Here it is. You will see a form. You can fill in the task, name, a description, the actual prompt you want Claude to execute, and frequency. You can also optionally select which model to use and designate a specific folder for the output. And you are done. So name, this description, the prompt, you select the folder, you ask for approvals or you skip for approvals, you select the model that you want to use, and you select the frequency, manual, hourly, daily, weekdays, weekly, and so on. Now that's how you schedule the task. That was method 2. Now let us talk about frequency options because they give you real flexibility. Hourly, great for monitoring tasks like checking a stock price or watching for new messages in a channel. Daily, perfect for monitoring morning briefings or end of day summaries. Weekly, ideal for recurring reports like a Friday project recap. Weekday only, so your tasks respect your work schedule. On demand, this one is interesting. It sets up the task but only runs it when you manually trigger it. Think of it like a saved workflow you can fire off with one click, and that's all. Now, here is something important that trips people up. So pay attention. Scheduled tasks only run while your computer is awake and the Claude desktop is open. Now, if your laptop goes to sleep or you quit the app, the task gets skipped. It won't vanish forever though. It will rerun when the conditions allow, meaning the next time your machine is awake and the app is running. So if you are relying on a daily morning briefing, make sure your computer is on and Claude Desktop is open before that scheduled time. One more thing worth knowing, scheduled tasks have access to the same capabilities as your regular co-work tasks. That means all your connected tools, skills, and plugins are available. If Claude can do something in a normal co-work session, it can do it on a schedule. So let me give you 5 real-world use cases to get the wheels turning. First, a daily briefing. Schedule a weekday task that pulls your calendar, flags important emails, and gives you a prioritized to-do list each morning. Second, weekly reports. Every Friday at 3 p.m., have Claude compile project updates from your files or connected tools into a clean summary you can send to your team. Third, recurring research. Maybe you want Claude to check industry news daily and summarize the top stories relevant to your field. Fourth, file organization. Set a weekly task to scan your downloads folder, categorize files, and move them into the right directories. Fifth, team updates. If you manage a team, schedule Claude to pull data from Slack or project management tools and draft a weekly status update. To manage your tasks after creation, head to the schedule section in the sidebar. From there, you can view all your tasks, review upcoming and past runs. Edit the instructions or cadence, pause and resume tasks, delete ones you no longer need, or run any task on demand. It is a full control center. And we are done. These are the few key takeaways from this session. Scheduled tasks let Claude work for you on autopilot, daily, weekly, hourly, or on demand. Two creation methods. Type schedule, Or the second one, tasks have full access to your connected tools and plugins. They are just as capable as a live co-work session. Your computer must be awake and Claude Desktop must be open, and use the schedule panel to view, edit, pause, resume, or delete any task you want. These are some of the resources that you can have a look at. And now that you know how to put Claude on autopilot from your desktop, what if you are not at your desktop? What if you are on a train, in a coffee shop, or just away from your computer? In the next session, I'll show you how to assign tasks to Claude straight from your phone and have your desktop do the heavy lifting while you are on the go. Dispatch. Assign tasks from your phone. Now picture this. You are sitting on a cab on the way to a meeting, and you suddenly realize you need a chart pulled from last quarter's balance sheet. You pick up your phone, tell Claude to handle it, and by the time you walk into that meeting, the chart is done, waiting on your desktop. And that is Dispatch. Welcome back. Last session, we set up scheduled tasks, so Claude can work for you on autopilot. But those are planned in advance. What about the stuff that comes up on the fly? The tasks you think of when you are away from your computer. Now that's exactly what Dispatch is built for. It lets you assign tasks to Claude from your phone, and your desktop handles the execution using all the tools, the connectors, and the capabilities you have already set up in Cowork. One important note upfront, Dispatch is available on Pro and Max plans only as of now. If you are on one of those, let's get you set up. What do you need? Dispatch requires two things running at the same time, the Claude desktop app on your computer and the Claude mobile app on your phone. Both need to be updated to the latest version, and critically, your desktop must remain active and awake, just like the scheduled tasks. If your laptop sleeps or the app closes, Claude can't execute the work. So let us set it up for you. First things first, make sure you have downloaded or updated both the Claude desktop app and the Claude mobile app to their latest versions. And then you open Cowork. Let us find it out. We open Claude, we click on a new chat, we click on Dispatch. Now, when I click on Dispatch, I have these options. Okay, keep it awake, computer use, code permissions, accept edits, plan mode, or bypass permissions. You have these options. Outputs, files, Claude share files will appear. Work with Claude right on your computer. Okay, and here it is. File access, so Claude can work with your local files, and computer weak settings, so your machine stays active while tasks run. Once those are toggled on, that we already did, click finish, and that's all there is to do. Now, here is what where it gets really good. Once Dispatch is set up, you and Claude share one continuous conversations that spans your phone and your desktop. This is not a bunch of separate chats. It is a single ongoing thread. You send a message from your phone and Claude figures out what kind of work is needed that spins up the right session on your desktop to get it done. Do you get it? Well, here are some tasks that work brilliantly with Dispatch. Pulling spreadsheet data. Ask Claude to grab specific numbers or generate charts from files on your computer. Searching Slack or email. Have Claude dig through your connected communication tools for specific threads or messages. Building presentations. Describe what you need and Claude can draft slides using your desktop tools. Organizing files. Tell Claude to sort, rename, or reorganize folders while you are away. And running research. Ask Claude to search the web, compile the findings, and save a report to your desktop. The key thing to understand is that your desktop is doing the heavy lifting. All the connectors, plugins, and even computer use capabilities you have configured in Cowork are available to Dispatch. Claude on your phone is essentially the dispatcher. It sends the orders, your desktop carries them out. So let me walk you through a realistic scenario so you can see the full flow. It's a Monday morning. You are on the bus or a car heading to work. You open the Claude mobile app, go to Dispatch and type, check my email for anything urgent from the sales team over the weekend, and then pull this week's meeting schedule from my calendar and give me a prep summary. Claude receives in on the desktop. It accesses your connected email tool, scans for messages from the sales team, and then pulls your calendar data. A few minutes later, your phone buzzes. Claude has sent you a clean summary with the urgent emails highlighted and a day-by-day breakdown of your meeting with prep notes. You walk into the office, already briefed and ready. But that is the power of Dispatch. But there are a few things to keep in mind. There are a couple of limitations worth knowing about. First, Dispatch uses one continuous thread. Now you can't spin up separate conversations. Everything lives in a single ongoing chat. Now that's fine for most use cases, but if you need isolated task contexts, scheduled tasks or regular co-work sessions are better suited. Second, uses computer when Claude uses computer use through Dispatch, it operates outside the sandbox. That means Claude can interact with your actual desktop environment. Now that makes it more capable, but it also means you should be thoughtful about what you ask it to do. Review the results, especially for sensitive operations. And we are done. To conclude, these are the few key takeaways from this session. Dispatch lets you assign tasks to Claude from your phone, with your desktop doing the execution. Available on Pro and Max plans, requires both the Claude desktop app and Claude mobile app. Your desktop must stay active and awake for tasks to run one continuous conversation across your devices. Claude figures out what's needed and spins up the right session, and then notifies you on your phone when it's done. All your co-work capabilities are available. Connectors, plugins, and computer use travel with Dispatch. Here are a few relevant resources for you. And you now have two powerful ways to let Claude work for you without sitting at your desk. Scheduled tasks for the predictable stuff, and Dispatch for the things that come up on the fly. But both of them become dramatically more powerful when Claude can actually reach into your tools. And that's what we are covering next. Connectors. See you. Connectors. Linking Google Drive, Slack, Gmail, and 90 plus tools. So, what if Claude could read your emails, check your calendar within a single conversation? And that is not a future feature. It is live right now. Connectors turn Claude from a smart chatbot into something that actually plugs into the way you already work. Welcome back. In the last two sessions, we set up scheduled tasks and dispatch so Claude can work on autopilot. Now we are going to supercharge that by connecting Claude to the tools you use every day. And by the end of this session, you will know how to browse, install, and configure connectors. You will understand the permissions model so you stay in control of your data. So, starting with, what exactly is a connector? A connector lets Claude access an external app or service. It can retrieve data from that service and in many cases take actions inside it. Now think of it like giving Claude a set of keys to your tools, but only the keys you choose to hand over. Now, right now, there are over 90 connectors available, organized across 9 categories: productivity and communication, sales and marketing, data code, design, life sciences, and healthcare, financial services, education, and non-profit. Some of the big names you will recognize: Google Workspace that covers Gmail, Google Calendar, and Google Drive; Slack, Atlassian products like Jira and Confluence; Asana, Airtable, Apollo.io, Amplitude, and the list keeps growing. Now, here is something important to understand. Connectors are built and maintained by third-party developers using Anthropic's model context protocol, or more commonly called as MCP. Now, this is an open standard that lets external tools connect or communicate with Claude in a structured way. You don't need to know the technical details. You just know that the quality and the capabilities of each connector depends on the developer who built it. Now, where can you use connectors? They work across Claude's main services: the web app at Claude.ai, Claude Desktop, Claude Code, Claude Mobile, and the recent one, that is Claude Design. They're also available through the API using the MCP connector endpoint. So whether you are at your desk or on your phone, your connected tools travel with you. One critical detail: connectors inherit your permissions from the source system. So if your Google account only has read access to a shared drive folder, Claude gets the same read access, nothing more. Your IT admin on the team or enterprise plan can also restrict connector actions organization-wide. For example, they might allow read-only access to email, but block Claude from sending messages on your behalf. Now, how do you install a connector? Let me show you how to find and install a connector. You navigate to claude.ai/connectors, or you simply go to Claude, click on settings, and click on connectors, and you would find all your connectors. So you click on browse connectors and you would find all the connectors listed over here. You scroll through, there are I mean, more than 90 of them. So yeah. Or there is a faster way from inside a conversation. Let me show you where. So we go to this. I click on, you click, see the plus button here, and there is a connector. You can manage the connector or you can add a connector. So that's the fastest, easiest, and the quickest one. Let us try adding one actually. I click on add a connector. I click on Google Drive. So these are grant access to complete the sign-in steps in the new browser tab. And okay, where is the browser tab? I'll actually do this. So I'll have to log in using my email ID and password and do all of that. So give this a try and let me know if you have or if you face any questions or complications or yep. And that's that. Let us continue. This is not needed. Yep. Coming back to connectors. And once you connect Google Drive as a connector, you can say anything like summarize the Q1 report in my Google Drive or find the latest version of the project brief, and Claude will put that information directly in front of you. Now, custom connectors via remote MCP. What is this? So what if the tool you need is not in the directory? You can set up a custom connector using remote MCP. Go to your connector settings, choose to add a custom connector, provide a name, the server URL, and optionally OAuth credentials. The server must be internet accessible, and free tier users are limited to one custom connector only. How do you do that? I will quickly show that to you. Okay, here it is. I go back to settings, connectors, and add a custom connector. That's where you add all the details and you are done. Now, here is your assignment. You go to claude.ai/connectors right now. Pick one tool you use daily, Gmail, Slack, Google Drive, whatever fits your workflow. Install it, authenticate it, and then open a new conversation and ask Claude a question that requires data from that tool. See how it feels to have Claude actually reach into your real work environment. And that completes this session. Key takeaways here would be connectors let Claude access and act within your external tools. They inherit your existing permissions. Browse them in the connectors directory at claude.ai/connectors. Built on MCP, the Anthropic's open standard for tool integration. Custom connectors via remote MCP, and team or enterprise admins can restrict connector actions organization-wide for security. These are some of the resources. Now that you have Claude connected to your tools, it's time to put everything together. And in the next session, we are combining schedule, task, connector, and dispatch into 5 complete real-world workflows you can copy and use today. Connectors, linking Google Drive, Slack, building real workflows. 5 complete automation examples. So, you now have scheduled tasks, connectors, and dispatch in your toolkit. Individually, each one is useful. But now, when you combine them, you get something genuinely powerful. Workflows that run themselves and deliver real results without you lifting a finger. And in this session, I'm giving you 5 complete examples you can set up today. Welcome back. This is the hands-on lecture where theory becomes practice. I'm going to walk you through 5 real automation workflows, step by step. For each one, I'll tell you exactly what connectors you need, give you the setup prompt, and describe the output you should expect. Feel free to pause and build along with me. Workflow number 1, and that is daily morning briefing. So this one replaces the 20 minutes you spend every morning scanning emails, checking your calendar, and catching up on news. Connectors needed is Gmail and Google Calendar. So you open Claude and navigate to scheduled tasks. Create a new recurring task set to run every weekday at 7 a.m. And here is the prompt to use. Let us give it a try actually. I click on this, I click on scheduled task, and I click on create a new task. And I set it up to run on weekdays, every weekday at 7 a.m. And I give this prompt. What is the prompt? Read it out over here. Check my Gmail inbox for any unread emails received since yesterday at 5 p.m. Summarize the top 5 most important messages, include the sender, subject, and a 1-sentence summary of each. Then check my Google Calendar for today and list all meetings with times and attendees. Finally, Give me a brief summary of the top 3 business and technology headlines for today. Format everything as a clean daily briefing I can scan in under 2 minutes. Expected output: every morning you get a single organized briefing, your priority emails, your schedule, and the headlines waiting for you when you start your day. So that was workflow number 1. Next is workflow number 2, called weekly team status report. So if you manage a team, you know how painful it is to compile status updates. So we let Claude do it. Connect as needed Slack and Google Drive. So you create a scheduled task set to run every Friday at 3 p.m. And this is the prompt you give. Pull the last 7 days of messages from the hashtag team updates Slack channel. Identify each team member's key accomplishments, any blockers they mentioned, and upcoming priorities. Compile this into a clean weekly status report with sections for each team member. Include a brief executive summary at the top, highlighting overall program attention. Save the report as a new Google Doc in My Team Reports folder in Google Drive. Now, this is not the exact prompt that you see on the screen, but yeah, this is what you might be using. And what is the expected output? A formatted weekly report lands in your Google Drive every Friday afternoon. You review it, make edits if needed, and forward it to the leadership. What used to take an hour now takes 5 minutes of review. Workflow number 3, inbox digest. Email overload is real. This workflow gives you a summarized digest instead of a wall of unread messages. Connectors, Gmail only. You create a scheduled task set to run daily at 12 p.m. and again at 5 p.m. And the prompt that you give: review all my unread emails in my Gmail inbox, group them into 3 categories: action required, so emails that need a response or decision from me; FYI only, informational emails, newsletters, and notifications; and low priority like marketing, promotions, automated alerts. For each action required email, write a suggested 1-sentence response I could send. Present everything in a clean and scannable format. Expected output: twice a day you get a categorized snapshot of your inbox with draft responses for anything urgent. You spend less time reading email and more time acting on what matters. Workflow number 4, content research pipeline. Now, this one is perfect for content creators, marketers, or anyone who needs to research and actually draft regularly. It uses Dispatch, so you can kick it off from your phone. Connect as needed Google Drive. And for this workflow, you will use Dispatch. Start it with a quick message from Claude Mobile, and Claude runs the research in the background on your desktop. So research the topic, find the top 5 most discussed subtopics, identify 3 recent statistics or data points, and note any emerging trends. Then create an outline for a 1500-word article covering this topic. Include a suggested headline, subheadings, and bullet points for each section. Save the outline as a Google Doc in my content drafts folder. The output that you can expect: you fire off a dispatch message from your phone while commuting, and by the time you sit down at your desk, a research-backed article outline is waiting in your Google Drive ready for you to write or hand off. And the 5th workflow is client follow-up tracker. Drop follow-up loose deals. Now this workflow makes sure nothing slips through the cracks. Connect as needed Gmail and Google Drive. You create a scheduled task set to run every Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. And here is the prompt. Scan my Gmail sent folder for the last 7 days. Identify any emails I sent to external contacts that have not received a reply. For each unanswered email, list the recipient, the subject line, the date I sent it, and how many days it has been without a response. Flag anything over 3 days as needs follow-up. Compile this into a tracker format and save it as a Google Sheet in my client's management folder in Google Drive. If the sheet already exists, update it rather than creating a new one. The expected output, you already understand. Twice a week, your follow-up tracker updates automatically. You open the sheet, see exactly what you need to ping, who you need to ping, and no client falls through the cracks. So, pick one workflow of these 5, or maybe a new one that you think is relevant for you, whichever matches your daily pain point the most, and build it right now. Copy the prompt, adjust the details to fit your tools, and schedule and activate it. You'll feel the impact within 24 hours. The key takeaways here are 5 complete workflows, combining scheduled tasks, connectors, and dispatch, ready to copy and customize. Daily morning briefing, Gmail plus calendar, weekdays at 7 a.m. Weekly team status report, Slack plus Google Drive, Fridays at 3 p.m. Inbox digest and content research pipeline, along with the resources that you can have a look at. And you have built real working automations. But here is the honest truth. Automations do break sometimes. Connectors expire, tasks don't run, outputs are not what you expected, And in the next session, I am covering the 6 most common problems and exactly how to fix each one. Because knowing how to troubleshoot is what separates someone who tries automation from someone who relies on it. Troubleshooting automations. So when things break, and they will, so here is something nobody tells you when you first start automating with Claude. Things will break. And not because the tool is flawed, not because you did something wrong, but because automations depend on a chain of conditions all lining up at the right time. And sooner or later, one link in that chain slips. The good news, almost every problem you will run into has a simple fix. And by the end of this session, you'll know exactly where to look. So welcome back. In this session, we are covering the 6 most common issues you will hit with scheduled tasks, connectors, and dispatch, and how to fix each one quickly. More importantly, I want to give you a troubleshooting mindset, a repeatable process you can use whenever something goes sideways. Because once you have that, you stop feeling stuck and start feeling like someone who just solves problems fast. Let's get into it. Problem 1. Your scheduled tasks didn't run. Now, this is the number one issue people hit, and it has the simplest explanation. Scheduled tasks only run when 2 conditions are met. Your computer is awake and Claude Desktop is open. Now, if your laptop went to sleep at 2 a.m. and your task was scheduled for 3 a.m., it simply didn't execute. There is no cloud server running it in the background. The fix will keep your computer awake and keep Claude Desktop open during the window when your tasks are scheduled. On Mac, you can adjust your sleep settings and system preferences. On Windows, check your power and sleep settings. Now, let me show you how to verify whether a task actually ran. Open Claude Desktop, go to the schedule task page and look at past runs. This log tells you exactly when each task last executed and if it was skipped. You'll see the gap right here. This is always your first stop when something seems off. Let me show this to you. I go to schedule tasks and I don't think I have anything here. Let me check over here. Okay, let's have a look at this one. This is the on the right, if you see, daily enrichment today, yesterday, April 15, 14. So there was a gap of 16th and 17th April probably. Now this is exactly where you see if the task actually ran or didn't run. Problem number 2 is connector authentication expired. Well, you set up a connector to Google Drive or Notion. It worked great for 2 weeks and now Claude says it can't access the integration. What happened? Or OAuth tokens expire. And this is standard behavior across almost every connected service, not a Claude specific issue. The fix, go to settings, then connectors, find the integration that stopped working, disconnect it, and then reconnect it. You'll go through the authentication flow again, and you are back in business. That's how as easy as it looks or it sounds to be. So problem number 3 is dispatch is not connecting. Now you're trying to send a task from your phone using dispatch, but nothing is happening on the desktop side. 2 things to check immediately. Both devices need to be signed in from the same Claude account, and the desktop app needs to be running on an awake computer. If the desktop is asleep or the app is closed, dispatch has nowhere to send the task. The fix, verify both the devices are the same account, like we already discussed. Also check your internet connection on both the devices. Dispatch needs connectivity on both ends. The 4th problem, task produces wrong or unexpected output. So your task ran, but the result isn't what you wanted. Maybe the summary is too short, or it pulled the wrong data, or it missed the point entirely. 9 times out of 10, this is a prompt problem and not a tool problem. The fix, edit your scheduled task prompt to be more specific, add context, tell Claude exactly what format you want, what to include and what to ignore. If your task reads files, make sure you have granted folder access so Claude has the context it needs, and remember the iteration approach we covered back in section 2. Treat your prompt like a draft, review the output, and refine and repeat. Problem number 5 is connector permissions are insufficient. So Claude is connected to your tool, but it can't access certain files or perform certain actions. This usually means one of 2 things. Either your permissions in the source system are limited, or your organization's team or enterprise admin has restricted what connectors can do. Fix, first check your own permission in the source system. Can you access that file or folder directly? If not, that's the issue. If you can, then check with your admin about organization level connector restrictions. Some organizations limit what Claude is allowed to read or write for security reasons. Sixth problem, task ran but files don't appear. Now your tasks executed successfully according to the logs, but you can't find the output files anywhere. Now this always means you didn't grant folder access for that specific scheduled task. Fix, open the scheduled task and make sure a folder designation is set. Without it, Claude does not have a location to save files to. Assign the correct folder, run the task again, and your files should appear right where you expect them. So here is your troubleshooting framework, and memorize this. First, check the basics. Is the app open? Is the computer awake? Is there an internet connection? This solves the majority of issues. Second, check permissions. Are connectors authenticated? Does the source system allow access? Are there admin restrictions? Third, check the prompt. Is it specific enough? Does it have the context it needs? Does the task have folder access? Now work through these three steps in that order, and you will resolve almost anything you encounter without needing outside help. And that's all for this session. Key takeaways: 6 problems, 6 fixes like we discussed. Scheduled tasks require computers to be awake and Cloud Desktop to be open. Connected tokens do expire. Dispatch requires both devices on the same account. Unexpected output is always a prompt problem. Permission issues can come from the source system. Missing files usually mean the scheduled task needs a folder designation, and the troubleshooting order should be basics first, then permissions, and then the prompt. These are some resources that you might find relevant, and you now have the full automation toolkit: scheduled tasks for recurring work, dispatch for on-the-go delegation, connectors for plugging into your tools, 5 real workflows to copy, and a troubleshooting framework for when things go sideways. Now that's section 4 complete. In the next section, we are moving to Claude in Chrome, where Claude becomes your browser agent. See you there. This was the end of section 4. Computer use. So when Claude controls your screen. So what if I told you Claude could open your apps, fill out your forms, and navigate your desktop? Not write about it, actually do it. Welcome to Computer Use, where your AI assistant stops working in a sandbox and start working on your actual screen. And this is the research preview that changes everything. Computer Use is a game changer, but it comes with important context. It is currently a research preview, meaning it's powerful but still being refined. It's available on Pro and Max plans, not Team or Enterprise yet. And here is the crucial part. It runs outside the sandbox. Claude isn't working in a protected environment. It is interacting with your real desktop, your real apps, your real files. Now that means incredible capacity and incredible responsibility. Let's talk about both. So, how it works, the big picture. When you enable computer use, Claude can take screenshots to see what is on your screen, click buttons and select menu items, type text and fill forms, navigate between apps and windows, interact with your actual desktop. But, and this matters, Claude is smart about which tool to use. It doesn't automatically jump to screen interaction. There is a hierarchy. We'll talk about it. Top priority: doing it the right way. Claude follows a preference order. The first and the fastest one is using connectors. Gmail, Google Drive, Slack. Now these have direct integrations. Claude can read emails, fetch files, send messages without touching your screen. Why? Because it's faster, more reliable, and more secure. Second is browser navigation. Now, if there is no connector, but Claude needs web content, it will navigate in your browser. It can search, click links, and read pages. And the third one, the slowest one, is screen interaction. This only happens when the first two won't work. Claude resorts to clicking your desktop apps, typing in native, Windows applications, navigating complex menus, and this hierarchy matters. It means Claude uses the most efficient path. You get better results faster. Now, let's talk about permission model. Why? Because you are always in control. You need to be always in control. So here is what you need to know about permissions. Claude asks before accessing each application. You're not giving a blanket access my computer permission. It is per app, per session. Some sensitive apps are blocked by default. Investment platforms, cryptocurrency exchanges, sensitive financial tools, and this is a safety guardrail. But you have options. You can create an app block list for anything you don't want Claude touching. Maybe you don't want Claude in your banking app, or your password manager, or your email client. You set the boundaries. The safety features, well, these are the built-in guardrails. Computer use has multiple safety layers. Prompt injection detection. Claude watches for malicious instructions hidden in web content or documents. If it detects attack, it stops and verifies with you. Action review. Claude shows you what it is about to do before it does it, especially for sensitive actions. Blocked actions. Claude can't initiate stock trades, enter sensitive financial data, gather facial images. Now, these are hard stops. The system is designed for capability, but with constraints. You get powerful automation without existential risk. Now, let us see how do you enable computer use live on Claude. Let me show you. So you give me a minute. Yep. So here we are. We go to settings. We go to general and we look for the computer use toggle. That's background animation. That's the font. Do you see that? It's not here. Cowork. It's not here as well. Claude and Chrome. General. Okay, it's right here. Should be here. Computer use is here. Oh, it's inside general. Okay. Computer use. Let Claude take screenshots and control your keyboard and mouse in apps you allow. Unhide apps when Claude finishes. Denied apps. Any request Claude makes to access these apps is automatically rejected. So you can add those apps. Accessibility granted. Screen recording granted. Now these are the accesses I gave to Claude for my system. Let us now look at the real use cases. Now that it is enabled, what do you use it for? Where do you use it? I'll tell you. And why would you actually use this? Let's find out a few scenarios. Number one, form filling. Native HR or expense platforms with no connector. Claude will fill out your expense report for the client visit and so on. Cross-app workflows. You ask it to open my project management tool, check the status of task number 47, update it in our spreadsheet and send a Slack notification to the team. Multi-step, multiple apps, it does it really well. Interaction with apps without connectors. Now that niche accounting software or design tool your company uses, Claude can navigate it. Document processing in native apps. Well, open this PDF in preview, extract the tables and compile them in a spreadsheet. So the thorough line, anything that requires interaction with apps outside the Claude's connector ecosystem is when you allow Claude to use your computer for. But there are some limitations. And here is the honest part. Your desktop must stay active. Claude can't work if your screen locks or the app loses focus. It is using visual input. It needs to see your screen. Screen interaction is slower than connectors. It takes longer because Claude is literally clicking and typing like a human would. Complex. Multi-step tasks sometimes needs retry. If the UI changes mid-task or something unexpected happens, Claude might need to start over. None of these are deal breakers. They are just realistic expectations. Now, let me walk you through an actual example. I'll ask Claude to complete a task that requires desktop interaction. Something like open the Notes app, create a new note titled Project Ideas, and save it. I haven't done this before, so you would see real time what permissions it asks for and what happens. Let us do it. I open Claude Cowork. I give it a new task, and that new task is open the Notes app, create a new note titled Project Ideas, and save it. Let's see. It is loading the tools. Now, Claude wants to use notes. That's exactly what I said. It is asking me for the permission. You can deny it, you can allow it, but it only gets allowed for this session. You do not have an option to allow it forever. Okay, I allow it for this session. It now took the access and it is now creating a new note with the name Project Ideas and it is saving the same. And it's done. The new note titled Project Ideas has been created and saved in the Notes app. You can see it at the top of your Notes list under today, Notes on Mac autosave. So it's already synced to iCloud as well. And here you get it. Now, here is your thought exercise. What is a task you do regularly that involves multiple apps? Something you repeat weekly, or daily. Now imagine Claude handling it. What would change? What would you be freed up to do instead? And that is the real value of computer use. It's not about novelty, it's about making tedious multi-app workflows and automating them. It is leverage. So, to conclude, these are the key takeaways from this session alone. Computer use lets Claude interact with your actual desktop and not a sandbox. Well, it's a research preview, but it would be having a full version very soon. Tool hierarchy, connectors first, then browser, and then screen interaction. Permissions are granular, per app, per session, user control. Safety guardrails prevent trading, sensitive data entry, and injection attacks. Real value, workflows that span multiple apps, form filling, app interaction without connectors. Be realistic about the limits, desktop stays active, screen interaction is slower than the connectors. Here are the resources as always, and you now got the two foundations of co-work. Instructions that make Claude understand your world, and computer use that lets Claude actually do things in the world. Next, we are going to bring it all together. Connectors, instructions, computer use, and build a real workflow that shows you how these pieces work as one system. You're about to see co-work at full power. And this brings us to an end of section 3. We'll be starting with the next one soon. See you in the next one. Have a great and a wonderful day. Until then. Claude in Chrome, the browser agent. What if your AI assistant could actually see what you see in your browser? Read the page you are on, click buttons for you, fill out forms, and juggle multiple tabs. Claude in Chrome, and it's available right now. Welcome back. In this session, we are stepping outside of Claude Desktop and into your browser. Claude in Chrome is a beta extension that turns Claude into a hands-on browsing partner. It sits right beside you as a side panel where you work, and it can interact with web pages the same way you do. Reading content, clicking elements, filling in the fields, even navigating between tabs. This feature is available on all paid plans, Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise, with one important distinction. Pro plan users get the Haiku 4.5 model. Now, all of this can eventually, while Max Team, and Enterprise users unlock the full lineup, including Opus 4.6, 4.7, and Sonnet 4.6. And by the end of the session, you will have the extension installed and understand exactly what it can and cannot do. So let's get it set up. So the setup in itself takes about 2 minutes, and let me walk you through it. You open Google Chrome and go to the Chrome Web Store. So let's go to Chrome Web, that's Chrome Web Store extensions, and you search for now. And you will see it set up and ready to work. Opus 4.5, Sonnet 4.6, Haiku 4.5 are all available for you. Now, if you already use Claude Desktop, you can. So this lets you start a task in desktop and have it execute actions in your browser. A quick note for you here, devices. Now that the installation is done, what about the core capabilities? So, what can Claude actually do inside your browser? And here is the rundown. It can navigate websites, click buttons, fill forms, read page content, take screenshots of what's visible on the screen. So think on your behalf. Claude also has built-in knowledge of popular platforms like Slack, Google Calendar, Gmail, Google Docs, and GitHub. It understands their layout, so it works with them efficiently right out of the box. Now, it also has multi-tab management, and this is where things get really interesting. Claude can work across multiple tabs at once using tab groups. You drag the tabs you want grouped tabs simultaneously. I'll show that to you in a while. So if you have got a research project spanning 5 different websites, Claude can pull information from all of them without you switching back and forth. Let me show this to you. This is a group that's pinned right here and do a few other things. Now I can add new tabs. Let's say app.gohighlevel.com. I take it and I bring it inside this group. Now this is the welcome new member group. Within this, I can have multiple tabs open, and Claude will use all of these tabs to deliver recording, scheduling, and shortcuts. So Claude in Chrome also has 3 features that are in the Claude panel yet. Let me open it for you once again. Here it is. But where is the recording button? Teach Claude, start recording. So that's how you then perform a series of steps manually, clicking, navigating, filling fields. And when you stop the recording, Claude learns that sequence and can repeat it for you on demand. So it is like teaching Claude by example. Second is scheduled browser tasks. And you can set up tasks to run on a recurring schedule. Okay, let me close this. Convert to a task. Create scheduled task. Start a conversation first to create a scheduled task from it. The scheduled task feature converts your chat history into an automated task that can run on a schedule. So that's scheduled browser task. And the third is short, the exact wording. What is that? Let's find it out. So I click on plus. No, that's not the thing. That's the settings tab. Here are the shortcuts. Okay, so sorry. So I click on slash, I click slash, and I now have the option to record a workflow or schedule a task. And I also have the option to go to shortcuts. Before we move on, let us talk about what Claude in Chrome cannot do and how to stay safe. Claude will not trade stocks, bypass captchas, input sensitive data like passwords or credit card numbers, investment platforms, adult content, and crypto exchanges. Each websites require per domain JavaScript approval, so Claude won't run scripts on a site until you say it's okay. Screenshots capture whatever is visible on the screen, including personal data. So be mindful of what. Begin with trusted sites you use daily, and if you handle sensitive accounts, use a separate Chrome profile so Claude never accidentally interacts with banking pages. For teams, admins on teams and enterprise plans can restrict site access using allow list and block list, a solid governance layer for organizations. And this session is done straightforward with core capabilities including navigating sites, clicking, filling forms, reading pages, taking screenshots, workflow recording, schedule tasks, and shortcuts, along with knowing the boundaries. These are a few resources that you can refer to along with Chrome installed, and you understand its capabilities. It's time to put it to work. And in the next session, we are going hands-on with practical browser automation, form filling, data extraction, and web research workflows that will save you hours every week. So let's keep going. practical browser automation. So how much of your workday is just copying data from one browser tab, pasting it into another, filling out the same forms over and over, or hunting through 10 different websites to compile a single report? Now, what if Claude could do all of that for you in the background while you are focused on actual strategic work? Well, welcome back. In the last session, we got Claude in Chrome installed and explored what it can do. Now we are going to roll up our sleeves and put it to work on real tasks. This lecture or this session is all about practical browser automation, specifically form filling, data extraction, and web research workflows. The pattern is simple. Describe the task, Claude navigates to the right pages, extracts or fills the information, and delivers the result. You will be amazed at how much busy work disappears. Let's get into it. Use case number 1, form filling and data entry. So let us start with something almost everyone deals with, repetitive forms. So say you have received a batch of expense receipts as images and need to log them into your company's expense system. Open the expense reporting tab in Chrome with the Claude side panel active. You can upload the receipt images directly to Claude. It handles image uploads for forms and attachments. Now tell Claude, fill out the expense form using the data from this receipt. Claude reads the image, extracts the vendor name, amount, date, and category, and then fills in each field on the form for you. Review it, submit, and move to the next one. This works for any web form, HR paperwork, vendor registration, event sign-up, support tickets. You just describe the task, provide the data, and Claude handles the rest. Use case number 2, data extraction from dashboards. Now this is one of the Anthropic's highlighted use cases, and for good reasons, obviously. Let's say you manage marketing campaigns and no need to pull your weekly metrics from Google Analytics or another analytic dashboard. You open the dashboard in Chrome, tell Claude, extract this week's traffic numbers, top performing pages, and conversion rates, and organize them into a summary table. Claude reads the page content, identifies the relevant metrics, pulls the numbers, and compiles them into a clean, structured format right in the side panel. No more screenshotting charts, no more manually copying numbers into a spreadsheet. The same approach works for CRM dashboards, project management tools, or any data-rich web page. Use case number 3, multi-tab web research. So here is where multi-tab management shines. Imagine you are doing competitor research. Open 5 or 6 competitor websites in separate tabs and drag them all into Claude's tab group. Now tell Claude, compare pricing, key features, and target audiences across all these competitor sites. Create a comparison summary. Claude visits each tab, reads the relevant content, and compiles a structured comparison, all without you toggling between tabs or copying text into a document. This is one of the Anthropic's 6 primary use cases, competitor research and comparison text. And because Claude works with co-work, you can convert that research directly into a finished deliverable, an Excel spreadsheet, a PowerPoint deck, or a formatted report. Use case number 4, calendar prep and meeting context. Another use case straight from Anthropic's recommended workflows. Before a big meeting, tell Claude, look at my Google Calendar for today. Find the meeting with client name, then research their company website and recent news. Give me a briefing. Claude opens your calendar, identifies the meeting, navigates to the company site, reads recent press releases or blog posts, and delivers a concise prep document. You walk into the meeting informed without spending 20 minutes on manual research. Use case number 5, email inbox cleanup. You open Gmail and Claude's side panel. Tell Claude, go through my inbox, identify the newsletters and promotion emails, and archive anything more than a week old. Claude reads your inbox, categorizes messages, and performs the archiving. You can also ask it to flag important messages, draft replies, or summarize long threads. Use case number 6, CRM logging. For anyone in sales or accounts management, this one is a game changer. After a client call, tell Claude, log this meeting summary into Salesforce under contact name. Match the contact and add these notes. Claude navigates to the CRM, finds the contact, opens the activity log, and enters the details. 5 minutes of clicking becomes 30 seconds. Now, let me give you a power workflow that ties several of these together. Let's say every Monday, you need to compile a weekly report that pulls analytics data from one platform. Hear it carefully. Let's say every Monday you need to compile a weekly report that pulls analytics data from one platform, project updates from another, and team activity from Slack. Set up a scheduled browser task. Remember the clock icon from the last lecture? And configure it to run every Monday morning. Claude will open each platform in sequence, extract the relevant data, compile it into a summary, and if you are using Cowork, it can even format the final report as an Excel file or PowerPoint presentation and save it to your Google Drive. Now that's the real part. Multi-step workflows running in the background while you focus on something else. Now, the key to good result is specificity. Don't just say get data from the dashboard. Say extract the conversion rate, total sessions, and top 5 landing pages from this week's Google Analytics overview and format as a bullet point summary. The more precise your prompt, the more accurate the output is. And this brings us to an end. Here are the key takeaways. Form filling works with any web form. Data extraction pulls structured information from dashboards and web pages without manual copying. Multi-tab research lets Claude read and compare content across multiple sites. Anthropic highlights 6 primary use cases and combining scheduled tasks with browser automation to create fully hands-off recurring workflows that deliver finished projects or reports. These are some resources for which the link for which can be found in the resources section. And now you have the practical, repeatable workflows for browser automation. In the next session, we are going deeper into multi-tab workflows, workflow recording, and how to chain Claude in Chrome with Cowork for maximum impact. Multi-tab workflows and recording common actions. So let me ask you something. How many browser tabs do you have open right now? 10, 20, 47. Now we have all been there. Bouncing between tabs, copying a number from one, pasting it into another, trying to hold 3 different pieces of information in our head at once. Now what if Claude could just look at all of those tabs simultaneously and do the work for you? And what if you could teach it to repeat tasks you do every single week without ever showing it twice? Now that's exactly what we are covering today. Welcome back. In this session, we are going beyond single tab browsing and into the features that turns Claude in Chrome from a helpful assistant into a genuine workflow engine. Now, we are covering 3 things: multi-tab workflows, recording actions so Claude can repeat them, and scheduling tasks to run on autopilot. By the end, you will have the skills to eliminate some of the most tedious and repetitive browser work from your day. Starting with multi-tab workflows. Let us start with multi-tab. The concept is simple, but the impact is huge. So instead of asking Claude to work with one page at a time, you can group multiple tabs together and let Claude see and interact with all of them at once. And here is how it works. You drag the tabs you want Claude to work with into Claude's designated tab group. Now once they are grouped, Claude can view and interact with every tab in the group simultaneously. No more switching back and forth. No more copying data from one tab and pasting it into another. Claude compiles information from all of those tabs without you lifting a finger. Let me show that to you once again. So this is one of the tasks that I have. And the moment I click on it, so it goes to my Google Search Console, looks at the traffic, and does all of the needed things. Now I can add multiple tabs inside this group. Now this becomes a part of this blogs.sawankumar.com group, and it can now take actions or do the needful. So let's say for an example, you are comparing prices from 3 different vendor websites for the same product. You compare the pricing, the shipping costs, and warranty costs across these 3 vendors and ask it to tell you the best deal. Claude would read all 3 pages, pulls out the relevant details, and gives you a clean comparison. Now, this would have taken me maybe 10 minutes of flipping between tabs and building a spreadsheet. Claude would do it in seconds. And before moving ahead, this is a detail people overlook. Claude handles these multi-step tasks in the background. You can switch away to other tabs outside the group, check your email, and keep working. Claude keeps going. It doesn't need you watching. And this is powerful for research workflows. Cross-referencing data across multiple sources, pulling together information from several articles, comparing product specs, anything where the answer lives across more than one page. Now, moving on to recording common actions. So let's talk about workflow recording. And this is where things get really practical for anyone who does repetitive browser work. Now think about those tasks you do the same way every single time. Maybe you submit a form on an internal tool every Friday. Maybe you pull numbers from a dashboard and enter them into a web-based report. Maybe you log into 3 different platforms and check the same metrics. And these are perfect candidates for recording. And here is how you set it up. I think we already saw this in the previous session, but let's again see it for. So this button, Teach Claude, teaches the Claude, asks you to record, go through the steps as if you are teaching a new teammate. Claude will learn the process and repeat it for you depending on the frequency or how you want it to be repeated. Scheduling and shortcuts, we also spoke about this. This takes recording one step further, scheduling. Once Claude knows how to do a task, you can schedule it to run automatically. And this is pretty obvious, right? So once you are done with recording, let's say the Chrome Web Store, search for and done. I pause it. So you see it is mentioning, starting to note down the steps. I say it has done. It is now generating a shortcut. It automatically generates a shortcut for this particular workflow. Now I can name this shortcut whatever I want to name it. I click on create a shortcut. This is the prompt, this is the start from, and I can now set up the schedule. Once, daily, weekly, monthly, annually. I can give it the date, the time, and the model to use and create a shortcut. Now whenever I want to run, I would simply click on this and write that name and enter, and it would run that workflow again and again and again. And that's easy. That's how easy it is. One more feature I want you to know about. When you have crafted a prompt that works really well, we just saw this. So the next one is the Chrome to Cowork pipeline. So before we wrap up this training section, I want to connect this to something bigger. Multi-tab research in Chrome pairs beautifully with Cowork. You do the web research and data gathering in Chrome, scraping data, comparing resources, extracting information, and then Claude takes those results into Cowork to create finished deliverables. Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint decks, polished reports. The browser is your input. Cowork is your output. So here is what I want you to do right now. Think of one task you do in the browser at least once a week that follows the same steps every time. Now it could be checking a dashboard, submitting a form, pulling a report, anything that's repetitive. Open Claude in Chrome, click the record icon, walk through that task once, and then stop recording. You have just automated your first browser workflow. Now if you want to go further, click on the clock icon and schedule it, and you will thank yourself next week when it just happens. And this brings us to an end with the key takeaways that we have. Multi-tab workflows, workflow reporting, and scheduled tasks and shortcuts is all that we saw here. These are a few resources that you can refer to whenever you want. Now, you know how to make Claude work across tabs, record workflows, and schedule them. But Claude in Chrome is just one tool in your toolkit. In the next session, we are going to zoom out and build a decision framework, so you always know whether to reach for Chrome, Cowork, computer use, or a connector for any given task. The clarity is what separates someone who tinkers with AI from someone who consistently. When to use Chrome versus Cowork versus the computer use. So you now have 4 different ways Claude can take action on your behalf: Chrome, Cowork, computer use, and connectors. And that's powerful, but it is also confusing. I see students all the time trying to force the wrong tool onto a task and wondering why it feels clunky. Now, the tool you choose matters just as much as the prompt you write. So in this session, I'm going to give you a simple decision framework that makes the right choice obvious every single time. So welcome back. This is the session I wish every AI course included, the decision framework lecture. And we are not learning a new feature today. We are learning how to think. By the end, you will have a mental model you can apply to any task, and you will instantly know which Claude tool to reach for. No guessing, no trial and error. Let's build that framework. The 4 tools. So let me lay out your 4 options, and then we'll build the decision logic. Claude in Chrome is your browser agent. It lives inside your web browser and interacts with websites and web applications. It can read pages, click buttons, fill forms, navigate between sites, and work across multiple tabs. Cowork is your local work environment. It operates on files on your computer, creating documents, organizing folders, analyzing data. It runs inside a secure sandbox, so it's safe by design. Computer use gives Claude control of your full desktop. It can see your screen and operate native applications, the ones installed on your computer that are not browser-based. Connectors are direct API integrations. They plug Claude straight into the services like Gmail, Slack, Google Drive, and Jira without needing to navigate any interface at all. Now comes the decision hierarchy. And here is the framework. I want you to remember this order. Connector first, then Chrome, then co-work tools, and then the computer use. That is your hierarchy from fastest and most reliable to most flexible but slowest. Now, why this order? Connectors are direct pipelines. No interface to navigate, no buttons to click, no pages to load. They are the fastest and most dependable option. Chrome is next because web interfaces are standardized and Claude navigates them well. Co-work tools handle local file work reliably inside a secure sandbox. Computer use is last. It is the most versatile because it can operate any application, but it's also the most complex because Claude has to visually interpret your entire screen. So the decision process is simple. Start at the top of the hierarchy and ask, can a connector handle this? If yes, use it. If not, move down. Can Chrome handle it? Keep going until you find the right fit. So when to use each tool? Let me walk you through specific scenarios so this becomes a second nature. I need to send a Slack message to my team. Stop right here. Slack has a connector. Use it. Direct API, instant and reliable. No need to open a browser or navigate the Slack interface. Second, I need to fill out a form on our company's HR website. Now that's a web application. It lives in the browser. Chrome, Claude navigates to the page, reads the form fields, fills them in, and done. Now, third, I need to research competitors online and create a comparison document. This is a two-tool job, remember? Chrome handles the web research, opening competitor websites, extracting pricing, reading feature pages. Then co-work takes that gathered information and creates a polished Word or an Excel spreadsheet. Chrome is your input, co-work is your output, and they work together beautifully. Next is I need to organize my downloads folder. Sort files by type, rename them, move them into subfolders. No browsers involved, no web application. This is local file work, co-work. It operates on your files inside its secure sandbox, handles bulk operations, and gets it done. Next, I need to update records in our QuickBooks desktop application. Now, QuickBooks desktop is a native app, not a website, not a web app. There is no connector for it, and this is where computer use comes in. Claude takes control of your desktop, opens QuickBooks, and interacts with the application directly. So let me now show you my quick mental checklist. When a task comes in, I ask 4 questions in order. One is there a connector for the service? Gmail, Slack, Drive, Jira. If yes, connector wins. 2, does the task live in a browser? Web apps, websites, online forms, web research. If yes, Chrome. 3, does the task involve local files? Creating documents, organizing folders, analyzing CSVs and spreadsheets? If yes, co-work. 4, does the task require a native desktop app? Software installed on your computer that has no web version? Computer use. Now, some common combinations. So I also want you to recognize that tasks often span more than one tool. Now, that's not a problem. That is the strength. The computer research example we just covered used Chrome plus co-work. You might use a connector to pull data from Google Drive and then co-work to analyze and transform it. You might use Chrome to extract information from a web portal and then a connector to send the summary via Slack. The key is breaking the task into steps and matching each step to the right tool. Don't try to force one tool to do everything. And there is one mistake to avoid. The biggest mistake I see is people defaulting to computer use for everything because it feels the most powerful. Well, it can technically do anything, but it's slower, less reliable, and harder to control than the purpose-built options. Think of computer use as your last resort, not your first instinct. If a more specific tool exists for the job, use it. Now, try this exercise right now. Write down 3 tasks you did on your computer this week. For each one, run through the decision hierarchy: connector, Chrome, co-work, computer use. Identify which tool or combination of tools fits each task. If you can't decide, drop your scenario in the Q&A section and I will walk you through it with you. And we are done. Here are some of the key takeaways from this lesson. Remember the hierarchy: connector, Chrome, co-work, computer use. Match the tool to where the task lives. Complex tasks often combine tools. And here are some resources for the links to which you will find in the resources section, and you now have a clear mental model for choosing the right tool for any task. Now that's going to save you a lot of frustration going forward. In the next session, we are diving into Claude Code, where Claude doesn't just help you work, it builds things for you. Now, even if you're not a developer, I'm not a developer, you are going to love what's possible. See you in section 6. Actually, Claude Code for developers, terminal IDE integration, and auto mode. So if you write code for a living, or you want to, well, this is the lecture or session where Claude Code becomes a full stack teammate. Terminal workflows, IDE integration, auto mode, sub agents. This is where Claude Code stops being a tool and becomes infrastructure. And if you are a non-developer, you can skip this session without missing anything critical. But if you are a developer, buckle in. I'm not a developer, but I'll try to give you as much as possible. So Claude Code as a terminal agent is a different beast than Claude Code in desktop. You get a CLI, hooks, slash commands, plugins, sub agents, and a programmable surface that integrates with your entire development workflow. Now, this session covers the developer setup, the IDE integrations, and the advanced modes. Everything from installation to autonomous coding sessions that run while you sleep. Starting with installation. One command and then you are in. So Claude Code is a native install. Anthropic ships official installers for every major platform: Mac OS, Linux, WSL curl, and for Mac OS, this is so you have it all in front of you. Now that gives you the Claude command anywhere on your system. The native installer auto updates in the background, so you stay current without lifting a finger. Homebrew and Winget installs require manual upgrades. Brew upgrade Claude Code on, or Winget upgrade anthropic.claude code, but otherwise works the same. So first run setup. You will authenticate with your Anthropic account on first run. Choose a default model and optionally set up an organization if you are on team or enterprise. 2 minutes and you are done. Next is the terminal workflow. In your project directory, you give cd my project Claude, and that drops you into an interactive Claude Code session scoped to your current folder. From here, you work in prose. Ask Claude to read files, write features, refactor, run tests, commit to Git, whatever you need. The terminal session keeps context across turns. It maintains memory of what you have been working on. You can close the session, reopen tomorrow, and pick up exactly where you left off. Useful flags over here. Claude modal opus for 4.6 force a specific model for the session. Claude -- continue resumes the last session. Claude --print non-interactive mode used when scripting, and Claude and you understand this. Well, I'm again, like I said, I'm not a developer, so I am really not very much known to these things. IDE integrations, VS Code, JetBrains, or Cursor. Now, Claude Code integrates natively with major IDEs through extensions. The big ones: VS Code. Install the Claude Code extension from the marketplace. It adds an in-editor panel where you chat with Claude and Claude can directly. JetBrains, well, plugin available through JetBrains marketplace. Same pattern: inline chat, inline differences, inline edits. Cursor or other editors, well, many have community maintained integrations, or you can use the terminal plus a split pane. Now, the IDE integration is a game changer because Claude can see your whole file tree, your open editors, and your current slash commands and bundle skills. Well, inside a Claude Code session, slash commands are your debug, simplify, batch, loop, Claude API, clear, compact, model, help. Now, custom slash commands and skills are now unified. Drop a folder at .claude/skills/my command and skill.md, or a flat file at here, and we will deeper into skills format in section 7. Now, hooks. Hooks are scripts that run at specific moments in the Claude Code lifecycle. Think of them like Git hooks, but for Claude. For example, a pre-commit hook that runs your linter before Claude commits. A post tool hook, a post tool use hook that logs every file Claude modifies. A notification hook that pings your phone when a long running task. Teams use them to enforce coding standards automatically. Then you have sub-agents and parallel work. For complex tasks, Claude Code can spawn sub-agents, specialized helpers that run in parallel. You invoke them via the agent tool or by writing custom sub-agent definitions. For example, you ask Claude to analyze the code base, and identify every place that calls the legacy auth API. Now, Claude might spawn 3 sub-agents in parallel, aggregate their findings. What would have been serial becomes parallel. You can define your own sub-agents with specific tool restrictions and system prompt. Write a YAML front mapper file, drop it in Claude agents, and Claude can invoke it when relevant. You also have the auto mode or the agent mode. Auto mode in Claude code running. Auto mode is Claude code running with expanded autonomy. You describe a multi-step task, grant it permissions upfront, and walk away. Claude plans, make it commit. Investigate this bug, reproduce it, write a failing test, fix it, verify tests, pass. Now, auto mode is powerful and requires trust. Start with small bounded tasks. Watch what Claude does. Build up to bigger sessions as you calibrate how well scoped your prompts need to be. Then you have the thinking modes. Claude Code exposes different levels of Claude's internal reasoning depth. You invoke them with keywords. Think, a bit more deliberation than default. Think hard, deeper planning. Think harder, still more. Ultra think, maximum extended thinking budget. Now, these are useful for architectural decisions, complex refactor, or anything where getting the plan right upfront saves hours of work or rework later. Redesigning an auth system, ultra think. Now, let's talk about the most critical thing, permissions and safety. Now, Claude Code respects a permission model. File access, only the folder you launched it in, nothing outside. Total invocations. Claude asks before you can adjust these in Claude setting.json at the project level or in settings.json globally. Use allowed tools and disallowed tools. For production code bases, lock down destructive operations explicitly. For personal projects, loosen up for speed. Now let's talk about MCP in Claude Code. Linear, query your database, interact with Jira, pull Figma designs, add MCP servers in .claude, mcp.json, and their tools become available in your session. We cover MCP in depth in the can do without changing how you prompt. Background tasks and long sessions. The Claude Code can run in background, true on a bash invocation, or kick off an agent that runs for minutes. You can monitor progress while continuing to work in the main session. Long autonomous sessions are where Claude Code earns its keep. Kick off. Migrate this service from REST to gRPC on Friday afternoon. Check the PR Monday morning, review, merge, and sip. And you're done. You can try this in your terminal. Create a fresh project folder and you run Claude. You add a TypeScript test suite to this project, and I'm not trying this out. You can give it a try and let me know if you have any questions. Matter/commands plus hook plus custom agents turn Claude Code into team infrastructure. Sub-agents parallelize big investigations and refactors. Auto mode is for bounded, well-scoped tasks, stakes are high, and permissions live in .claude/settings.json. These are some resources that would help you understanding Claude Code better. And we are done. Now that you can build, integrate, and automate, let's talk about the other half of the development lifecycle. Finding bug, code, quality teammate. See you there.